Hello, and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast that revisits my top favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander, joined by my co-host,
Courtney Autumn.
Venture with us as we set our sights on the infamous Hellmouth to cover 90s cult classic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Follow along from the beginning, spoiler-free, as Courtney views the show for the first time and I revisit the series for new takes and a fresh perspective on its narrative.
Each season, every episode, in order, we will follow Buffy Summers and her friends to examine their character development, the show's underlying themes, along with its major story arcs, all while engaging in conversations, sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, load your crossbows, and join us as we explore the supernatural world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's get into the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Revamped. Today we're going to be covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, Episode 13, The Zeppo. Original air date was January 26, 1999, written by Dan Weber and directed by James Whitmore Jr. I want to welcome back Frank to the podcast. You guys, we have Frank Bonacci here with us.
Thank you guys for having me back. I'd like to apologize to your audience in advance. This is not going to be as spicy as last time. I have not had a feud with any other cast members since the last time I've been on here. I tried to start something on X with 𝑭𝑹𝑨𝑵𝑵𝑲, but it just didn't take.
Oh, my fucking God. Did you really?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so. I was like, 𝑭𝑹𝑨𝑵𝑲? She's
What the hell did she do to anybody? No, she's I've met her a couple times. She's lovely.
Courtney's like, I have no clue who 𝑭𝑹𝑨𝑵𝑛𝑐 is, and we like it that way. That's perfect. That's the best person you could have said as like a fun little joke.
Yeah, I wanted to think of the person that nobody really has a problem with.
We also haven't had any feuds with people. We're just letting other people exist and do their own thing and whatever. And, life will happen as life happens.
We're leaving people where they're at.
Literally. Especially last season, since that person has not appeared on this season at all. So we're good to go with this one.
Automatically making this season superior
Immaculate.
For me. I just want to know, just real quick, Courtney, because last time I left you, your whole thing was Angel, it's on sight if you see him. Like, you were just so hating on Angel. I want to know how, if that's the same or how that's changed since then.
That's
because it's been
changed.
a lot's happened.
That's
Happened.
Yes, that's changed. Obviously, it's safe to say that we can differentiate Angel from Angelus as almost two soul different individuals. And I was hating hard on Angelus for given reasons, but. Yeah, Angel, I don't know. I almost feel like the snippets that we've seen him in, at least the last couple of episodes, I'm just like, at least he's serving a purpose and he's on the right side of things and he's not trying to murder anyone unless, they're trying to hurt Buffy. So I'm with it.
Now, you guys just hit amends a couple episodes back, which is a brutal. I remember being an emotionally brutal episode. I mean, how's that? Is that one hold up? I mean, for you guys?
We enjoyed it. We actually, obviously, we're ahead in our schedule. So, that episode actually airs this coming Friday from where we're recording at. But it was fun because we had Sarah and Leia from Investigating Angel podcast on to join us from that. And Sarah does Becoming Buffy podcast with her sisters and then also does that one with Leia. They had just finished wrapping up their 5 seasons of Angel and going back to the beginning, basically at his OG redemption arc starting, because this is what kind of cues off Angel the series in a way. It's his ground zero for that. So it was really fun going back and assessing it with them and having their insight of, obviously with no spoilers, what kind of went down with Angel on that story, and then coming back to the beginning was really nice to have them on for that. Kind of getting the revisitation, like you were just asking Courtney about seeing Angelus the last season. We were about to get into the death of Jenny Calendar, and obviously Jenny comes back as the first in that episode, reprising that role and stuff. So it was really unique and fun. Courtney had a fun time. Me and her live watched that. We watched The Wish and Amends back to back in person together, and then we recorded that the next weekend with them. So it was a fun revisitation, and it ended up being really juicy, meaty content. You should absolutely go listen to that when it comes out on Friday, if that's the one episode you decide to dip back into for Revamped, especially since you asked about it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Well, that kind of helps usher me into where I was going to go with that. Anyways, I was going to say, the last time you joined us was for a Xander-centric episode, being that bewitched, bothered, and bewildered. And we made a joke in that on our own accord without recording that we should have you back on for the other Xander-centric episodes, just because it seemed like a fun, kooky thing to do. And you really enjoyed Xander art. You gave us new light and new refreshing takes on Xander, and we were struggling with Xander. We hadn't even gotten to kick his ass yet and all the other stuff that's come up this season, revelations and all the other angel hate stuff. And we've sort of started to leave that behind. So I like that you're back for the Zeppo, but this continues that theme. So here you are back with us. So we can kind of now get into it. In this episode, while the rest of the Scoobies are caught up in another world-ending crisis, Xander finds himself sidelined and searching for a way to matter. What starts as an effort to prove his worth soon pulls him into an unpredictable night of danger, temptation, and unlikely choices that test just how much the ordinary guy can handle. So fun. I love this episode. Guest stars we have in it. Shannon Rowe is who is portraying Jack O'Toole. And I didn't really notice that he had been on Bones before. He's been on the X-Files, Touched by an Angel, which I did not watch that show. I just saw it in his credentials. That's to name a few, but I'm also really familiar. I didn't realize he was on a Charmed episode. He played the demon Cree, the gypsy hunter in season 5 that was tasked to get the eyes for his father, Orin. And I was like, that's one of my favorite Charmed episodes. I really like the aesthetic and the thematics that go on in that episode. And when I was looking up his credentials, I was like, damn, that was him, but his hair was a little longer. He looked different. I was like, and it had been obviously a 4 or 5 year gap, I think, in between him appearing on Buffy too. But I was like, look at little Jack O'Toole. I never noticed that. So next time I watch that Charmed episode, I'm gonna be looking at him and I'm gonna be like, where's Katie?
You know who I know him from? He's always will be the guy in Boogie Nights who pays Dirk Diggler to crank hog in his truck. Oh, you got to see Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights amazing.
You're like the film dude. You know what I mean? You always, for me, I think I had to go watch 2 movies after I filmed or recorded with you the last time to catch up on stuff that I clearly just needed to know for pop culture.
Yeah, he's in that. He has a very memorable scene where Dirk. Well, I won't give any spoilers.
I wrote Boogie Nights down. Watch.
Yeah.
And then we have Michael Cudlitz as Bob. And then I feel like he was really green in this episode, but I obviously did not know who he was. And obviously through credential search, he played Sergeant Abraham Ford on The Walking Dead, which was everybody's little redheaded bearded, he was that character that came in season 3, 4 kind of vibe. And everybody loved Abraham. I don't know what eventually happened to him because I can't remember what happened after season 6 of The Walking Dead, but that was his big thing. He's been on other stuff too, but that was the one thing I was going to note him as. We have Darren Himes as Parker, who was my favorite of the zombies, just to throw it out there. And I can't differentiate as we go through the episode which zombie truly is which after we really get lost in it, because I ended up finding myself calling it Home Dude Zombie or This Zombie Dude or things like that, besides Bob, because I could remember Bob, and obviously Jack. And we have Scott Torrance as Dickie, who I think is the most irrelevant. I think Dickie is the one that Xander has that moment. You said you liked Courtney. I think he might be the one that's kind of on the sidelines. And Whitney Dillon, she plays, I don't think her name's given in the episode, but she plays Lizette, who is the girl that Xander takes on with the obsession of cars and all of that. I just called her that blonde girl my whole life growing up, or that girl that's irrelevant, the girl that's obsessed with cars and whatever.
Car girl.
This was her first on-screen role, was Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then she had a very small role in a scene at the docks in Coyote Ugly. She was just I guess a background person, and then she was in a bunch of various other things that I hadn't seen. And then I noticed that she reappears later in a certain arc in season 2 of Angel as well, but she has a small role there. I think I know who it is, but I have to pay attention later on in life to make sure that that's who that is. I'll call it out if I notice it. But then I also saw in her credentials, we've been Desperate Housewives happy over here because I've been talking about Desperate Housewives bringing it up the last few episodes in certain ways. But she plays a character at the end of season 2 of that too. And I was like, damn, these people, I don't know if they just age or if you just don't pay it attention. Normally when I see someone that's been on Buffy that's in another show, I'm like, oh my God, they were on Buffy. I know them. It's just me hearing Brian Jonestown Massacre and be like, oh, I know that band because of a song that played on Buffy, whatever. So I'm going to have to pay attention and keep an eye out for her. And then I wanted to say it was an uncredited role given in the episode. Noelle Hannibal played the main on-screen sisterhood of the J Demon that we get to see. Obviously we see a bunch of them makeup up, but there's one that keeps playing consistently because they all kind of look the same, and it's played by her. And she was an actress and a singer who appeared in the film Star Trek First Contact, and she is actually uniquely the first female to portray a Vulcan of Earth on the Star Trek series. So she had like a big thing there. And since she had an uncredited role on Buffy, I was like, I'm gonna give her a moment here on Revamped, even though no one listens to this, and give poor Noelle her little like something something. I know people listen to it. I'm just being jokey, but you know. And then my last thing for this little bit of opener, the title the Zeppo, and this will be great for Courtney, comes from Herbert Zeppo Marx, the lesser known fourth brother of the Marx Brothers comedy team. They were like around in the 40s and 50s. While Groucho, Harper, and Chico were famous for their loud, distinct personalities and comedic styles, Zeppo was the straight man, the normal one, often left out or overshadowed by his brother's chaos. He wasn't the funny one or the star. He was the extra one, the one that didn't seem essential to the act. And that's exactly the metaphor this episode is playing on with Xander, and that's why we get the comments we get. In the Buffy ensemble, Xander often feels like the normal one among superheroes, witches, and vampires, the guy without powers, destiny, or special training. The Zeppo digs into that insecurity. Everyone else is dealing with this apocalyptic world-ending crisis, while Xander's storyline is treating almost like a side adventure, intentionally mirroring how he feels within the group, unimportant, unnecessary, and the odd man out. So while the Zeppo starts as a label for the useless guy in the group, it becomes a story about quiet, unrecognized worth. I did also want to note, I didn't realize that Herbert was the Zeppo dude's real first name, and I was like, that's the name of the pig mascot that Xander ate with the corporal asshots in the pack. And I was like, how is Herbert doing?
Crunchy.
I knew Courtney would say it. That was like her favorite quote from like season 1. She's like, crunchy.
That bitch was so wild.
So cringy. We never saw them again. Yeah, so now we can kind of get into opening thoughts. What do you guys think of the Zeppo?
Well, this was fun. A lot of fun for me. But I don't know. I feel like the last couple of episodes have had a good, like, few fun tonal shifts going on. But this one was a lot more fun than anything else, even though it did, like, a really good job laying out sympathy right away and drawing that out for Xander, which is not normal for me ever usually, but I was feeling bad for Xander like from beginning to end pretty much. So that changed things really in a weird way. But I like the look that we get into kind of the identity crisis that he's having within the group. And I don't think I was ever really aware of the fact that, or I never spent any time thinking about the fact that he's the only one who doesn't have like a thing, so to speak, you know, because everyone else has gradually stepped into their own thing, you know, like we've always known Buffy as the Slayer, but then Willow has these witchy abilities, Oz is a werewolf, so you kind of just, and Cordelia's popular, so like you give her that, but Xander's just Xander, so I never really thought about that, and I think that's where I guess the shift in sympathy happens. But the fact that there's so much sympathy but so much fun at the same time made this like super entertaining, and I just really love this episode. Like definitely I think maybe my favorite episode of this season so far.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I love this episode. It was a lot of fun.
I love it because you texted me. I'm trying to find the text right now, but you had texted me and we were like, I haven't, you said also watching Buffy currently, and this is the only episode I felt bad for Xander after this long.
And it was like 7 minutes in probably, but yeah.
I love it. And then the texts go on. I was like, did you meet Katie? And you were like, yep, sure have. She's deaf and Aries. And then 2 seconds later, you're like, oh my fucking God, what's happening with Faith and Xander? I'm going to die. Like... And then it went on from there. It was so great. I love it. Like, I don't know, we get to explore so much with him. Frank, I'm assuming you watched the episode just to kind of get a fresh take and revisit it. Stuff. Yeah. How did you take it this time around, and what were your initial thoughts back then to now of the Zeppo?
Oh, it's always been a favorite of mine. Fun fact, this is the first episode me and my wife watched together when we first started dating.
Nice.
Yeah, because we both realized after we started dating we were both fans of the show. And I said, let's watch the Zeppo because that's a fun one. Mm-hmm. That's always like a fun, like it's like one that we could watch and just like, you don't have to like know. It's not married to any larger storyline. It's just fun on its own.
Yes.
So you could just watch it on its own and not have to like think about the baggage of the season.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I love a good piss take where you just kind of like it just straight up is mocking the show's like just its normal operating procedure. Yeah. It's standard operating procedure. It's like, okay, we're setting up a threat. And I like the fact that it starts out like really, hammering how bad, like, this is a season finale level threat they're talking about. Like, this is serious, like the kind of weighty moments that are happening, and the fact that it's all happening in the background, and that you're only privy to like the broad strokes of it. You have no idea. You don't understand what's going on. Like, Xander has no idea what's going on,
and no one will tell him.
Yeah, you're just seeing signifiers of like this big, large story, like that big. What the fuck is that thing that's coming out of the class? It's gotten larger. What has gotten larger? We don't know what's going on. That's amazing that they're keeping this big spectacle away from the audience, so you could go and just so you could watch Xander have this weird adventure in the background. Getting back to what's his name, Conan Rowe, the guy who's the villain, whatever his name is, he is genuinely creepy, that dude. That guy really freaks me out. Like, every time I see him, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Like, that guy, I wouldn't want to deal with that guy because he does look like a sociopath. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to meet him. Like, I want to say, like, dude, you're an amazing actor. Like, I'm genuinely frightened of you every time I see you in something.
Yeah, he puts you on edge.
Especially
I feel like if you met him in person, it would not have surprised me if he was the same exact way. And you're just like sitting there complimenting his acting, and he just looks at you with like a poker face, and you're just like, okay, well, I'll fuck off now.
The weirdest thing I noticed in a lot of years of productions, like the guys that you see who would always play like either heavies or bad guys, were generally the nicest guys you meet. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a guy, look up Mike Starr, and you've seen him. If you're a fan of The Bodyguard, anybody?
I've seen it.
Why does that sound so familiar?
It's the Whitney
that's
Houston.
the Whitney Houston movie.
Yeah.
The guy who gets his eye poked out.
Yes.
The big dude who gets his eye poked out.
I haven't watched it as an adult. I've only seen that when I was like 9 or 10 or some shit. Not
He's
the
an
age
actor.
I should be watching that.
Mike Starr was an actor who's just always played a bad guy. You've seen this guy in a million movies, and he always plays like either a guy who beats up somebody, is like a thug, or somebody you hate. Like, and he looks the type. He's a big, imposing guy. The sweetest guy you ever meet in real life.
That's usually how it is.
I love that.
It's like, wow, like, oh, like really kind of a big goofball, and it's just like you'd be surprised. It's like, wow, it's like,
and then he ended
that
up
guy
getting
might
typecasted to be those specific roles in all his types of movies.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's just like, but he looks at, you just look at it and it's like, yeah, that's what he should be playing. Mm-hmm. He's just got that face. It's just such a funny episode too, like so witty. And I looked up the guy who wrote this episode. He only wrote one other episode. From
Don't say a title.
Lover's Walk.
Oh no, okay, sorry, we passed that. Okay,
Lover's Walk.
Spoilers free, but okay, yes,
yeah. But if you look at his credits, otherwise, he's written like a ton of Futurama episodes, a ton of American Dad episodes, and a ton of Simpsons episodes.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that's why you can see he like,
which is weird that he wrote Lover's Walk.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
But I guess if the Spike stuff, yes. The Spike that we get in that episode, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. When we're
I was going to say there's like always a sense of chaos. It's chaotic in a way.
It's just a great, like, one of my favorite directing choices. Well, maybe I'll save that as my favorite, like, when we do the
final slays later and stuff.
Yeah, final slays. Sure. I'll save that for my
final slays.
Like
you're coming in with some extra stuff that I didn't add in here that I didn't know, so it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's amazing. Just the idea of just playing behind an episode. There's another great It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode. One of my favorite episodes of that series is called Charlie Work. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took this episode as a reference point, because they do the same thing. They take a typical plot of It's Always Sunny, but it's playing in the background while Charlie is having this adventure in the foreground. And his thing is like he's actually the hero of this story, but nobody knows it. That's how
exactly what happens here.
Yeah, and there's spoilers to this episode. That's basically what happens here, and that's how they do it in Always Sunny. I'm like, oh, they clearly watched this episode.
Yeah.
And did the same thing.
That's funny, because as you're sitting there saying that, I'm sitting here thinking about how, like, Xander's running around and getting all crazy and having his own solo adventure. In this episode, we get a lot of on-screen takes with him, and the last time we had you on, that really was exactly what was happening in a different way your last episode you did with us. So, like, it's the same thing. I'm so happy we brought you on for this whenever it comes down to it, and we'll kind of get the same kind of energy the next time we visit the next Xander-centric episode. Like, we'll have a lot more space in between us whenever we get to that, but it'd be so funny when we do get to it. And that was going to be a huge one. Like, I can't say anything obviously because of spoilers, but yeah. It's going to be great.
I'm excited.
I'll obviously definitely probably regurgitate a little bit between the both of you said, but Obviously, this episode plays out like a comedy, and it has a genuine heart and danger at the forefront as well. Joss stated in an interview with Entertainment Weekly back in 2013, describing this episode as a very deliberate deconstruction of a Buffy episode in order to star the person who mattered the least. I saw on Shangel's reviews, they said, the Zeppo is a Xander-centric episode that focuses on Xander's insecurities about being useless to the Scooby Gang. It also deals with Xander's self-esteem issues in a more general way. For a character that uses humor to mask insecurities, I think it's only fitting that the episode which deals with them the most is primarily a comedic episode. Oh, and there's the apocalypse going on in the background. That makes 2 in just over 6 months. In an episode involving an apocalypse, you'd expect the apocalypse to be at the forefront and the secondary story to be in the background, and this is what happens in 99.9% of television episodes. Xander's story and character growth are at the forefront of this episode. The apocalypse is playing second fiddle to Xander's journey, and it's a welcome change of pace. And to me, this is obviously a huge part of why I enjoy the episode. We all know we've been dealing with Xander throughout the show and how we've been dealing with him. The times that we put him under the microscope, we've questioned his choices, picked apart his actions, and tried to unpack his motives for half the stuff that he does. And we've gotten some backlash for that because there's a lot of Xander lovers out there. And very fair, but also we have to sit in the moments where it's uncomfortable to sit with Xander and assess that and analyze it. So it is what it is. But this episode gives us something different. We actually get a taste of his world, and we finally explore a new layer of who Xander is, going behind the scenes with him in a really different way that we haven't gotten to before. Xander's always obviously been insecure. That's nothing new. But by the end of this episode, a lot of that shifts. And it's because of this solo moment that he gets. He's forced to spend time on his own, basically disconnecting. I say gently get pushed out of the friend group because obviously they just want him safe. And he's proven time and time again that he gets hurt in the face of battle. And that's why the way we open up the way that we do in this one and have that element, it ends up bringing, I don't know, it ends up being the best thing for him. We see what happens when he's out there trying to do his own thing. No Slayer, no Scooby safety net, just Xander. And no matter how wild his night gets, it leads to him taking more control over his life, his narrative, and really redefining his sense of self-worth, which is really what he's trying to do the whole time. Not only that, we get to see how people treat him too. This guy who always has been seen as a kind of lesser one, the nerdy kid by association with Willow growing up, always the target of Cordelia's comments, coming from a family that doesn't have money, all of that. But this episode actually lets us sit in the space with him to understand him a little bit more and maybe even sympathize with the parts of Xander that don't make our eyes roll. Because we see he's just a person, that he doesn't feel like he belongs, he has no place, and isn't sure what his place is, especially once he's kind of kicked off and shunned from the group. And all of that gets brought into question, ironically enough, sort of by Oz, which is really funny because he has a whole conversation with him in the cafeteria that helps basically identify like, who am I? What am I doing? What's my thing? All while being Xander-centric of an episode, it's still keeping that fun, goofy tone that fits who he is. Because, yeah, Xander isn't always meant to be taken too seriously. And here we finally get to explore what happens when we do. And we get a really good moment from him also. It, like, really, truly pays off. If anything, I feel like this one it kicks off Xander's growth arc that we will begin to see across the rest of the series. So now I feel like we don't have to worry quite as much about him the way that we have. It's kind of like his journey of growing up from this point on, because he's forced into his own role. We don't have to see the immature actions the same way. He can actually have more thoughtful processes going forward, because we've breadcrumbed Courtney the whole time and been like, by season 4 or 5, even like the final season and stuff like that, Xander's completely different than the Xander we saw at the beginning of the series. Like, he's done this whole like 180, and now there's still those little like moments and like pieces that relate back to that, because he's still Xander, but he's so much more tolerable than the backlash that he gets whenever people are really analyzing what he does in the first few seasons. But then, like, obviously for the episode, and I know we've said it, but I love the way the rest of it is handled too. We got the apocalypse happening again, the same one that we saw in Prophecy Girl with the fucking monsters. We get the revisitation of the same creatures. I don't know if they had to recreate those or if they were the same ones from that episode, but all of these small chaotic moments, though, are treated as background noise, as you said, Frank. But it never really fully abandons the Buffy energy. It doesn't take away focus from Xander either, and that's what makes the episode very well balanced in that way. It's almost like Buffy makes fun of itself also, like you said, kind of satirizes itself, like plays on all those tropes, and we get to talk about that a little bit more later. And like I was starting to say, I really like the return of practical effects, the zombie element. It's kind of given that twist, of course, this would happen to Xander energy. It feels like a mashup of like Dead Man's Party, Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. And like you get the emotional payoff underneath all of it. It's fun because it's the Hellmouth, and even Xander can't have a relatively normal night. He's just dealing with all the things like still normal that are going on in his life, but we also have this supernatural problem occurring as well for Xander because he's dealing with zombies and like dead people. It's not just like a regular Joe. I thought it was so fucking funny. But yeah, that's pretty much like what makes me really identify with the episode, like not on myself, but like makes me enjoy it, because it could be an episode where people would skip it. They'd be like, oh, I don't care for Xander, I'm not going to watch the Zeppo, you know what I mean? I'm just going to get on to the next one, because obviously we know Batgirls is next and we've already watched those and stuff like that, so most people would probably want to get to the Faith story versus spending time with Xander here, and that's just like honestly what I've heard from other people. So but yeah, any other thoughts or anything else y'all want to say before we actually start the episode?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
All right, great. Into every generation, there is a boy that's left alone and shunned from his friends. We open underground in a foggy cavern, a blue demon stalking through the mist. Faith appears with a sword. Buffy and Giles flank in, and Willow steps from behind a rock, candle in hand, whispering an incantation. She blows it out as the fog clears, and Buffy launches at the demon. She and Giles pin it while Faith drives her sword through it, finishing it off with a little extra demonic theatrics as well, because this demon scream, like, I don't know if this girl, like, because she's uncredited in it, and like this is one of the roles that she just hasn't been out there in a lot, but she's like... She screams for way too long. Go back and watch it if you don't remember, y'all. I'm not even being
she
extra.
Makes a meal of it.
She makes sure we're fed her Desi, and she's like, girl, I'm coming for this. And then she's like, I'm also gonna play every other Sisterhood of the J throughout the rest of the episode. She's like, I'm gonna fight Faith later. People won't think it was me, but I'm not, because I died in the beginning, but I'm not dead because there's 8 of me, blah blah blah. Which would have been a cool take, maybe if they were all like, the Sisterhood were all like clones of each other in a weird way. Like that would have been another fun element to this apocalyptic gang. Around them lie more slain Sisterhood of the J demons. The group wonders what this nest was even doing here. Giles admits he underestimated the threat and wouldn't have brought Willow and Xander if he had known. And here we cue Xander crawling out from rubble, groaning his "I'm okay" after he leapt into the fight and promptly offered his face to be pummeled by the lead demon.
Yeah, that was real manly, how you shrieked and all.
I think you'll find that was more of a bellow.
Faith and Buffy comment he could have been hurt or killed or both. Giles suggests more search on the demons, and as they head out, he advises Xander it might be best he stick to the rear of battle in the future, as he tries to use pointless Jimmy Olsen jokes with Giles. We fade to black and cue the Buffy theme. Frank.
That was the best one yet.
At least he did it. I still every time we got clear about
came in a little late.
It's okay. I sync it up. Unless it sounds good, and then I leave it as was.
I like that his brought in like a little bass to it almost. He was like, oh.
That was, I wanted to harmonize.
And this is where I keep all this in because it's funny. So I just delete the part about moving it up and all of that, and then it rolls right on in. Okay. Next day at school, we see Xander trying to join a game of catch with 2 guys who clearly want nothing to do with him. Doug finally tosses him the ball, which Xander immediately fumbles, sending it crashing into some poor guy's lunch, except it's not a poor guy. Apologies fly, and that's when we meet Jack O'Toole, who asks Xander if he's retarded or something.
No, I had to take that test when I was 7. A little slow on some stuff, mostly math and spatial relations, but certainly not challenged or anything.
I was like, oh my fucking God. One, I completely forgot that they actually say this, because obviously that's a ableist term now. People don't often, unless you're a child of the 90s, use the phrase retarded because it's not cool to technically do it.
I gotta say, that wasn't as common on TV to say a lot either, to be honest. Mm-hmm. It is like a weird kind of thing, like especially for that time. It's like it surprised me to hear it too. Mm-hmm. But it's only because, like, you didn't actually hear it on TV a lot from that time either. That's a pretty strong insult for back then.
Absolutely. But also the fact that Xander comes in and admits that he's like, I had to take the test for it. My mom and everybody made me do it. Like, he's like, and I it didn't end up being on this.
The most literal answer.
Literally. And Jack's like, this is what feeds to, like, the energy that anybody could, but specifically Xander just pisses Jack off because of stuff like this. He's like, bro, I didn't ask all that. Like, you're just feeding to the fact that I want to pummel the fuck out of your face, like the Sisterhood of the J. Well, Jack instantly goes full psycho, threatening to cut Xander's face off, as I'm saying, and promising he and his boys will beat him up until it's a new shape, which is also a fun little thing because if you're really paying attention, he says, when I get my boys together, we're going to come for you. And we're like, who are these boys? What are you talking about? Do you have some gang outside of school? We'll find out. He shoves the ball back at him and tells him to fuck off rightly. And I love that because he kind of let him off easy right here, but he's also like, just like, get out of my face. But also poor Xander, like this introduction kind of just lets us know where he's sitting already because he's about to have this interaction with Cordelia. He's begging Doug, please throw me this ball, like, please, Doug, please, like, and he's like, okay, let me give this guy a break, like, let me include him when I'm just trying to play with my friends. Xander's always trying to self-insert himself. Like, if that's not I said that weird, but you get what I'm trying to say. So it's putting that playback on that and kind of putting it in front of our face so that way we can like add to the I feel bad for Xander later kind of thing, and also helping opening up our story and be like, oh wait, this has been in front of our face this whole time. It's not just that he self-inserts himself in Buffy's life when it comes to Angel or any other issue that's going on, whether it's Hellmouth related. This is his normal day-to-day of trying to make, hey, I'm here, realize me, notice me. Like, this is where we start playing the sympathy card for him because we feel bad for him not being able to fucking play a game with people because people don't want to treat him as relevant in the school, which obviously Cordelia calls out in a second because she's witnessed all of this and swoops in with her signature brutal commentary on his public humiliation. Xander tries to play it off, insisting he could totally take O'Toole, and we're like, okay. And then obviously she's like, oh, please. And then cuts him down again. She's like, no way, that guy's a psycho, but hey, still better than being a wuss like Xander. Xander voices his frustrations, the ones where he's fought monsters, demons, and the apocalypse, but yet he's still terrified of a high school bully. Cordelia tells him that's just because, unlike those monsters, Jack actually noticed him. Not exactly comforting, she twists the knife, pointing out how hard it must be to have friends with superpowers when you're just this little nothing. Xander's face drops, and she compares him to Jimmy Olsen, which is so hilarious because his face lights back up. He's like, hey, I was just talking. And he's like, hey, mind your business.
That's so funny. That is great.
I love it because, like, without knowing, she knows, and it's awesome too because Cordelia is the one this episode that comes for him the most, other than what situationally happens to him, and it's because she has this whole crappy, egregious past with him because of what's happened most previously. You know, talking about the lovers walk and her breakup with him and all of this. This is the best way. Basically, she's like resorted to like half the callous energy that she used to have. She used to be way more brutal with them growing up. So this is probably the dialed back version. The like, oh, like I can whatever. But she's also been exposed, like even in Amends, she like pointed out Xander's problems that he has with family. Like, oh, I thought you slept outside to avoid your family's drunken fights, not to see the stars. And then there's been another episode where she comes up and brings shit up like, she's just always pointing out now the things that Xander doesn't want other people to know that she clearly has had insight into. It's very hilarious. Obviously, then he catches himself and snaps at her to mind her own business, as I said. She's clearly struck a nerve with the boy who had no cool. Desperate, Xander insists that he has a lot to offer that group, that he's integral.
Oh, please.
I do.
Integral part of the group? Xander, you're the useless part of the group. You're the Zeppo. Cool. Look it up. It's something that a subliterate that's repeated 12th grade 3 times has, and you don't.
She walks off happily smug with this interaction, leaving Xander stewing. It's kind of fucked up for Cordelia, like I said, but she's kind of warranted to be giving Xander this kind of energy because she's his ex. So, like, what do you expect? She's also Cordelia. She's the one that's going to bluntly, not tactfully say stuff because she doesn't want to express non-truth. She's going to be the, like, most, like, I don't know, her verbiage and, like, the way she's going to go verbal is going to be intense when it happens. But like I said, it does seem a little bit dialed down. But also it kind of sucks because I noticed while watching this episode, and we've noticed it, like, what she made remarks on whenever she talked about Michael in Gingerbread, calling him like the goth, like ick boy, like whatever, when we had a whole moment with that, like it kind of makes me have like that bad taste in my mouth for Cordelia a little bit again in her natural demeanor, just because she's sitting here finding ways to point out how somebody doesn't matter. And that's not cute. And obviously we need Cordelia because this helps open up the grand actual story that we're getting into. But once again, I'm just like, Cordelia, why don't you just mind your own fucking business? Like, but it's because it's Xander and she's got this history, so she feels the right to it. But also, she would say stuff like this and other people. But I also am curious, like, aside for Harmony and everybody else, if Cordelia is treating people differently in the school, sort of, kind of, since she's grown a little bit because of the Buffy group dynamic, you know? Because we saw a different Cordelia in ways that wasn't as bad as she was whenever we saw her in season 1.
And I think that's what's interesting that I've noticed is in season 1, it was like super clear that she was just kind of an asshole unless you were like in her clique type situation, like very Regina Mean Girls vibes, you know, and that was so clear. And now it's kind of like you're saying, like those lines have gotten a little bit blurred where you don't really see her interact too much with everyone else, so you don't know if this is like targeted solely towards Xander, where she's just like, I'm gonna take all my bullying energy out on your fucking ass because you're my ex and you didn't matter before and you matter less now, and I'm gonna really double down on that, you know. And I forget in the heat of the moment sometimes that they're exes because of the fact that part of this is organic Cordelia behavior. But then when I remind myself that Xander's her ex, and I feel like if I was in high school and I have mean girl energy and I walked in on my boyfriend cheating on me with his best friend that I've trusted him with for all this time, I'm probably going to be a giant fucking bitch and make your life a living hell. So as much as I know that her point in this episode specifically is also to invoke the sympathy we're supposed to feel for Xander to kind of like follow the storyline throughout the episode, I do feel like it's so, I want to say typical Cordelia, you know, in a way, but because of the circumstances, it does make it more interesting because you have to question whether it is still typical Cordelia because they are older. She has gone through a lot with the group themselves. You don't really see her like bullying Willow as hard, talking shit to Buffy as much. You know, you see her kind of be passive toward them, but not like she was in season 1. So for her to really put all that energy on Xander, I do think is related to him being her ex, but it does work well, obviously, in this episode. And I, as much as it cringed me out to be in Xander's position, and I was just feeling so icky and sorry for him, I would have loved to have been Cordelia at the same time, you know what I mean? So it's interesting because you sympathize for him, but at the same time, you're like, you have to remind yourself, and then you're like,
she comes back up later too, which we'll talk about when we get there and stuff. But I'm just like, are you following Xander around? Like, why are you at the donut shop?
She's just like waiting for her to be able to say what she needs to say. She's like, I'm ready. She, as much as he inserts himself and everything else, she's ready
doing
to
the same
insert
thing.
herself
Exactly.
so she can make her side comments.
Which works because then by the time we get to the end and we get that final scene with the two of them, it's completely changed dynamic, which pays off.
Love the final scene.
As someone who, as a lot of Redditors have noticed, could be very petty, I am totally for how Cordelia acts in these scenes.
Yeah. I just have to go to the 50-50. I have to point out the goods and the bads, the pros, the cons. The way I am. Gotta see both sides. Look at all perspectives. But yeah, for sure. Well, over in the cafeteria at lunch, which, by the way, goof, is a scene from I Only Have Eyes for You in season 2, because with that scene where like they're pulling the fucking cabbage and shit and the hot dogs off the hot plates, you can see the gang even sitting at the table in their outfits from that before the hot dogs turn into snakes and bite Cordelia in the face and all that. And then it clips away real quick, putting in the new scene. I saw that and I was just like, I was looking at it, I was like, this looks oddly familiar. I was like, oh, they're having hot dogs again. And then I'm like, wait a minute. And then whenever I went to do my stuff and I went on Buffy Wiki, they had that in the goof section. I was like, okay, that makes more sense. I thought I was going crazy.
They use like B-roll from
from another episode.
Oh, wow,
yeah, I should have said that. That would have made more sense to say B-roll. But you've got the jargon. You've got the but you've got the jargon that's in your mind. Like I fumble with stuff like that to say.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyways, Xander speaks with Oz about this cool thing and how you get it, noting also that Oz is just naturally cool, which is news to him. So aloof. Xander wondering if it's because of how he expresses himself in short, non-committal phrases. Oz commenting back one of his short, non-committal phrases to be like, could be.
Brilliant. That is so funny.
How aware the show is within itself. Xander explains not. It must be the fact that you're in a band and how that's the one-way ticket to cool, but maybe not, because in 8th grade that got him no trim being in band. And I was like, no trim? I was like, I've not heard that expression in forever. Like they're talking about like panty lining, like getting in the pants and stuff. I was like,
that's something from the early 80s.
100%.
I'm definitely saying that forever from now on.
Yes.
That's like Eddie Murphy would say that in like 48 hours. Like for real. Like,
Eddie Murphy specifically.
Yeah, no, I think that's the only time I've ever heard anybody else say it is like that. Like I'm thinking it's like we're talking 82. Go watch. Yeah, he says. Yeah, I'm gonna go.
So
get some
funny.
film.
I never.
Whenever someone talks about Eddie Murphy, all I can picture is that stand-up comedy thing that he did, and he's in that all red leather.
Delirious.
What is it? Yes, thank you.
Oh
exactly.
my God!
I used to love that though.
Right?
Like, I used to watch that so much.
Oh wait, no, that's Raw.
Either way, I thought it was interesting because I was like, obviously they had to put this sexual comment in here and make it pass by the WB censors, because if they had said this differently, they would have probably flagged it as something that couldn't be in the episode. So the fact that they didn't pay attention to this, and all these people that run the WB are probably hella from the 80s and beforehand, so they should have known this damn phrase, but I guess it just didn't flag them.
Whatever, they basically are doing borderline porn now between Angel and Buffy, so they're just pushing all the envelopes.
Well, I also got to let Xander know that if you're going to get trim, you got to play guitar or something. You can't be playing the tuba like you said. Like, he's talking about the tuba and shit.
Yeah. Wrong band. Wrong band.
In 8th grade, in middle school, nobody's getting trim. You're 14. You're just trying to understand what trim is.
Good point.
You trimming hedges outside when your mom's making you do yard work. That's what you're doing. What? Either way, he sits there trying to ponder what his thing is that no one else has that makes him inherently cool. Oz tells him he's overthinking it and has some identity issues, which I thought was very fun to call out, and trying to tell him that it's not. And I thought it's cool because we get cutscene transition magic over to the library as Giles tells Buffy, completing Oz's echoes from elsewhere, the end of the world. Because they're it's not the end of the world. I love how they transition this stuff. Giles telling her of the demons the night before being the Sisterhood of 𝒁𝑬𝐻, and how they are an apocalyptic cult existing to bring about the end of the world, and how more will follow. Damn, it's the Order of Taraka all over again. It's where there will be a one, there will be another. I'm how many sisterhoods are there? Or sisters in the hood?
Brotherhood.
What hood do they come from? Is this somewhere in Los Angeles? What hood is this? What demonic underworld? I really need to know. But also the makeup for these demons, just to point it out because I did not make notes about it, to sit there probably and paint them blue and do all this makeup and stuff like that. I'm sure they had to sit in a fucking makeup chair for forever. They got these cool dreads going on with their hair that are braided
I literally called them the Temu version of Avatar.
That's perfect.
Wow.
That's perfect.
You never see them I gotta say, you never see them sit still.
No, they're always moving.
Always in motion,
and they're always screeching.
Yeah,
they don't even make fucking noises. Well, except for the one bitch at the beginning, she screamed.
Yeah.
Giles takes this to be very serious as they are interrupted by Oz coming in, heading toward the cage, cutting it close to sunset since it's a full moon, which is so fun because we get the revisitation of werewolf energy in this episode. We just had it in episode 4. So we're kind of keeping Oz as part of the plot in a weird way without Oz actually having to be there. And he locks himself in. Buffy asking why the demons are there, him telling her that he believes they are going to try to open up the Hellmouth.
The Hellmouth. The one that opens
about 20 feet from where you're standing.
We get the pan over to the thing and we're all reminded oh shit, they all hang out on top of the Hellmouth all the time. But also it puts the preface of oh shit, there's this looming danger. The Hellmouth could open if these bitches are here to actually do and succeed what they're trying to do. I like the shot too because as we pan over to the table, Oz is now in werewolf form and he hops up in the cage and starts howling loudly to dramatize the moment. I was he's got to add that extra ominous zest to the moment because when you hear a wolf howl, that's not a good thing, especially a fucking werewolf.
That's true.
It's usually ominous. It means it portends nothing good.
Exactly. That's why I called it ominous zest. It's like a lemon. It's a slight citrus. The next day, Willow and Buffy discuss, walk and talk toward the new school day about the last time the Hellmouth opened, and Willow strongly remembering the demon that almost got out that night, which was so funny because I was flashbacking into my mind about her screaming Giles' name around her ugly green shoe that she had on when that little thing's antenna slimy thing wrapped around her thing, and fucking Jenny and her basically about to be sucked down there with that thing. I was damn. But also she remembers that fully from the night that Buffy did die, as it's given her nightmares since. That when they aren't about academic failure or public nudity, or all three wrapped into one. Buffy clarifying that won't be the worst demon to come out of the Hellmouth, and the world will be overrun with demons if they don't stop it, which kind of puts us in the mindset of being oh yeah, that's just the first demon that comes out of the Hellmouth. Imagine what else is down there. They speak on trying to narrow down when it will occur, and Willow hops on board with the research train, Buffy telling her this time it just seems more unsettling and scary. I'm no, you were going to die last time, Buffy. That makes it 10 times more scary. Willow telling her she doesn't have to be afraid, getting spooked by Xander pulling up in his thing, which is not a penis metaphor. It's a classic baby blue car. And later on we get actually what the car is, but I don't know nothing about cars, so I didn't put it here. The girl tells us later. It's his thing, though. It's what makes him cool, unique. He's car guy, which he's apparently borrowed from Uncle Rory, which I love that this is from the series, we've had 3 or 4 different little times where he's talked about Uncle Rory on the show, and we always call it out. I have to always remind Courtney that Uncle Rory is a thing. So I'm beating it home because we might meet him one day. Who knows? I don't know.
He seems like he's a degenerate.
Well, all of his family are degenerates, which is also, again, why we have to call back to Uncle Rory to remind us of where Xander comes from. Buffy isn't giving him the enthusiasm that he was searching for, and they account that that's because of the big evil brewing. Xander offers he's there to help and just tell him what he can do for the group. Cutscene transition magic over to Xander picking up donuts from the bakery as Cordy appears snarking some more at him about how big evil must be going on since they clearly have him out on his daredevil task. I'm like, fucked up. But also, again, this brings us to the moment where I'm like, Cordelia, are you just following Xander around town? Are you walking Main Street? Like, is this right after school just ended too? Because we saw the scene where, like, did he leave school to go do this donut errand and he's missing his first period class? Because it seemed like the girls were walking up to the school to start the school day, you know what I mean? But as a normal thing in this show, they're never in fucking class. They're always sitting in the library. Like, how is Willow passing her? I just don't understand what's going on.
It's because she's a witch.
So maybe they let him know, like, I'm going to put it in this as Brandon's conspiracies. Maybe they were like, well, actually, after school, we're all meeting to do research. So can you please go make sure after school you run with this cool new little car you got and go get us donuts so that way we have our snacks and treats for later? Like, I guess that's, which was...
It's because he has the car now.
Which was good for Xander because that gave him something to look forward to all day during school. He's like, yeah, after 6th period, I'm getting in that fucking car. I'm going to get them donuts and we're going to be back in business. No, you're not invited. Just drop the donuts off and get the fuck out of here, which thankfully he has a reason to later. Either way, striking another nerve for Xander, trying also to hate on his car that doesn't make him cool and how no one cares. But unfortunately for her, Blonde comes up to him tripping out over this 57 Chevy Bel Air 283 CID, solid lifter, fuel-injected V8. And I'm like, possibly. Yeah, that's also what they say too. I'm like, okay, cool. It's a blue car. It looks kind of old. It looks like it might be from the 50s or 60s, like, for sure.
Get too technical on you. That's what I think is called a convertible.
She did not say that. Wait, maybe that's what the C in CID stands for, a convertible.
Well, that's about my level of understanding of what is this. Like,
it's got
I believe
wheels.
They call that a convertible. See how the roof is not there?
Well,
but it can be.
This bitch is obsessed with cars, and she wonders how she handles, which Xander uncomfortably describes as a dream about warm, sticky things. And I'm like...
Yeah, I didn't like that phrasing at all.
I'm like, what? A dream about warm, sticky things? What does that mean? Is that like...
How did she not about face right there? Okay, gotta go.
She had the car to look at. She was enticed by the car. She doesn't care about the guy or what drives it. She cares about the vehicle itself. It really gets her. It gets her trim flowing.
I mean, I've wiped out for far less, saying far less than that. I mean, geez.
I can imagine. Well, okay, I'll leave that there. He offers her a ride in it, and she climbs inside as he gives Cordelia the "what now, bitch" face, driving off. Which I really like that because, like, she makes the whole joke about him being expendable or whatever, and then he's like, "I guess I would call myself expendable," snarking back at her, which is so fucking funny.
I love it.
And then, like, I wrote in my notes, I was like, okay, Cordelia clearly still has feelings for Xander. It's like because of the fact that she's bitter over Xander cheating on her, that's why, you know, that she has every right to be doing what she's been doing in this episode and feels that she does. But I was like, Cornelia, I'm calling her what Leia calls her. Cordelia knows, and as this is kind of a regurgitation of what we said earlier, and I forgot I had it in here, but she knows that Xander has self-esteem issues, especially about how useful he is to the Scoobies too. So she tries to hit him where it hurts in the comment, but then it backfires on her because this scene unfolds, which is kind of funny because then it's kind of like the first kind of like shove of the middle finger that he gets in her face before the final one later. This is also the last time we see Cordelia until then as well. Cutting us over to the Bronze after donut delivery, where this girl is sitting with Xander and he is bored the fuck out because she's running her mouth about the slew of guys that she's dated. Like, this bitch is like, I had Corey with the Corvette and like James with the Firebird and like blah 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 blah, and then she was like, and it did this and it had the fuel injectors and blah blah blah, and he's just like, whatever. Oh my god, can I please get out of here? Do you want to go take another drive? He's like, I got the blunt if you want to go for the blunt ride. I got it from Joyce earlier. Like,
that's a real thing, by the way. Like, you know, like that, like car, like real car, like gearheads.
Yeah.
And you've like wind up talking to them, and it's just like, and you wind up like, and I'm like a person's like, I think I know a thing or two about cars, and then you realize like,
you don't know shit.
Like, I'm like, I'm not even sure if they're speaking English anymore.
Yep. No, it's like me.
And it's just, Yeah,
100%.
It's just like, and I just slowly back away when you realize.
I'm like impressed that I know how to like change a tire and change my light bulb in my car, like if a light goes out,
Right,
you know.
yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm hot shit for those
Thank God
things,
for
and then I get
Google and
around
YouTube.
like people who are like really like that, you know, and they're talking about what Brandon just said, like fuel injectors and
Listen,
blah blah blah. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, so does the car like? Do you put the key in the ignition and turn it, and it turns on and it drives like the same like as everybody else's? Because that's all I care about.
listen, this is how I feel like whenever I get into a group of people and I notice there's a couple of people that are non-hairdressers in the room and we're sitting discussing hair color formulas, and I'm like, yeah, I put like 4N and 2 drops of like 5RB in there, and then I did a little bit of a CRB, and then I actually added like 5G in there.
Yeah, no,
as
it's
well.
like being at
And
the
people are like,
dentist,
what the
and they're like numbering your teeth, and they're like telling their assistant like what needs to happen in your mouth. And they're like, oh yeah, and then we need to do like a little H2 and the Q3, and you're like, the fuck, like what are you saying? What's happening in my mouth?
Everyone's got their thing.
Yeah, that's like when I remember being on set once. I was working with my friend, and he's like a Star Wars fan, and like he met somebody who's another Star Wars fan, and it's like, you know, Star Wars, one of the most well-known, popular things on the face of the earth. I think I could hang in a casual conversation about that. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I mean, I could definitely. I've seen like Star Wars stuff. Like,
You're like,
you know,
I think I can keep up.
Sure. And again. They start talking about like that whole, like they start talking the extended universe shit and all the books, you know, you know, like the Thanos encounter. I'm like, what the fuck are they talking? You know, Thermatis encounter. You know that? Well, that's Well, which timeline you going through? And they start talking like what? I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about
Timelines. I'm done. I'm already
like,
out.
yo, bro.
Hold up. So did you just say that there's a Star Wars Thanos encounter?
I was saying gibberish.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't improv a
Brandon.
Star Wars.
I was like,
what? They always have stupider names in Star
Listen,
Wars.
I love
like
a crossover.
Gumby
I love a crossover. So I was like, wait a minute, hold on. There's things I don't know because I've never seen Star Wars. So I know about it because of pop culture. I could tell you I can tell you who C-3PO is. I can tell you who Darth Vader and Darth Maul and all these other people are. Do I physically know what their story arc is? Not one drop.
But like the people who are really into Star Wars and like the real minutia of it, like I guess with any fandom.
Minutia.
Yeah, like they get really into the weeds of shit, and it's like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah,
sorry, I gotta bow out.
Once again, we all have our.
But then if you started talking to them about Buffy, they'd probably be confused too.
Right? Yeah, I mean, same thing.
They'd be like, "Who's Xander?"
Yeah, what?
100%. Well, Xander's this guy that's getting fucking annoyed as fuck by this girl, and for the first time in life, too, Angel comes in the door to the Bronze, and Xander sees him and gets excited, calling out, "Hey, buddy!" across the room, offering him to come sit and talk. Like, hilarious. I was like, man, you know Xander's fucking bored when he's wanting to chill with Angel. The show is so clever to add in this little touch too, because we all know damn well that shit's got to be real bad for this to
him
occur.
To be grateful to see him is hysterical.
It's so great.
Like, oh, buddy.
Like that's his life raft of a person right now. That's funny.
That is great.
He unfortunately is looking for Buffy and can't hang. He tells Angel that she's at the library because duh, and also Angel voices how he knows that something's going on, and Xander clarifies, you know, it's the apocalypse because that's the only information he's given this episode. And he's like, can I come along? And Angel's like, no, it's best you stay out of harm's way. And so even Angel's like, no, you can't come. Leaving him there as the girl asks, are like, hey, are we going for another drive? Let's go take another drive. I want to drive. Let's get in your car. Xander, we come outside and Xander voices on the way out to get in the car his stress about them not wanting his help and how he's done so in the past, how he's not some kind of klutz. Which is so funny because he is pulling off and hitting someone's car as he was too busy bitching versus checking his cigs. He gets out checking the fender bender as Jack O'Toole steps out the car and Xander rightfully begins to wig. I was like, Xander must have gotten driving lessons 1 from Buffy because we saw how she was driving in Band Candy and without a license at that. Buffy ain't even got a driver's license, so that's clearly how Xander. Also, like the fact that Xander's driving this car around, are we like, because of Buffy's history, are we thinking that he's driving around this car with unlicensed, or that Xander actually has passed his test and has a driver's license? I would think that route because he's the one outside the group that might have like had this, you know, because we never see people drive on the show. This is actually one of the first times, other than Joyce or Giles, that we see one of the Scoobies drive on the show.
Yeah, it is
we saw
Cordelia.
Cordelia.
Driver's
Sorry.
ed.
Yes.
You know, and she was like taking.
Well, we all know Cordelia can't drive. She drives through the school doors. And, yes, yeah.
Even though Buffy asked her for a ride home the other day, that's how you know Buffy's
usually
desperate.
the adults.
Oh shit, so funny. Are you gonna say something?
No, I was just saying, it's like you only ever see the adults driving. That's so weird. Yeah,
I love how I was like, Xander's the first one, and then Courtney's like, no, it was Cordelia, and I'm like, oh shit.
But it is rare.
Same thing. But also Xander and Cordelia, so kind of funny that those are the two people that have driven on the show, and now they hate each other. It's a fun parallel. At the library, the gang researches as 𝑭𝑹𝑨𝑵𝑲 just chills behind them, growling in slight. I wrote my notes in the cage because he's just kind of pacing in there and like doing his thing. I'm like, if I was a werewolf, wouldn't you be trying? Like, he's very docile for a werewolf on this show. Not the same werewolf we saw in fucking Phases whenever he first got introduced. Like, I know we saw the change in his costuming back in Beauty and the Beasts. Like, they changed him into this like more, like I say, like a more docile werewolf, because obviously he still gets revved up and stuff, and he does want to bust out the cage later and all this other shit. But like, for him just going in there and he's just like chilling in there all night long, like, if I was a werewolf, I'd be wanting to get out and act primal. So why are they like, how is this one little library cage holding him in there? You know, it's weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
Either way, Giles stresses about how the council won't even take his calls, which obviously is a callback because last episode we saw that he got fired from the council. Buffy noting if she finds nothing soon, she will hit the streets, maybe check with Willie the snitch. Giles is heading out to speak with the spirits of time to see if he can get some future answers, noting how the entire fate of the world rests on... Pausing, noticing that someone's eaten all the jelly donuts, which are clearly his favorite.
Did you eat all the jellies?
Did you want a jelly?
I always have a jelly. I'm always the one that says, let's have jelly in the mix.
We're sorry. Buffy had 3.
No matter.
Willow completely throws Buffy under the bus, talking about Buffy had 3 jelly donuts, and in his face he's like, I'm always the one that wants a jelly. Like, why are all the jellies gone?
Because I was sitting there, I was doing, the episode makes you do the math in your head, 'cause I'm like, wait, Xander's clearly ordered 4 jellies. Do you mean, how did they go through all the jellies already?
Buffy ate them.
And it's just like, because I remember thinking that. I was like watching it going like, yeah, I mean, because Xander said he bought 4. He said get 4 jellies. So I'm like, how they added the jellies already?
I had forgotten about this little detail. And then like maybe a few months ago, maybe longer than that, I was on Instagram and one of the Buffy meme accounts had posted like this image from this where they were like ragging on Willow throwing Buffy under the bus, and every comment on that was just like so funny, and I was just like dying. So I'm like, the fact that she calls her out is the most hilarious shit. Like, we don't expect something like that from Willow, but also don't we kind of expect something from that from Willow? Like,
but it makes it funny too, because you can tell by Willow being the one who's saying it and making the statement that she's the one who's like judging her the harshest for it. You know what I mean? She's like, well, Buffy had 3. You know that every second she was sitting there eating them 3 donuts, Willow was probably just like, what the fuck is
well,
that?
if Frank's sitting there talking about there were 4 jelly donuts, that means Willow ate the first one and Buffy had the other 3, so she wanted to throw Buffy the fact. She's like, well, I had 1, I feel guilty, but Buffy had 3.
Yeah.
So funny. Always kills me. Giles offers Xander make another run to go get more. That's so funny. This is where they want to call back. He said, well, maybe Xander can go out, and they're like, no. Firm no. He almost got killed the last time they helped out, and they will feel better if they just know that he is safe, which is good because they're looking out for Xander. At the end of the day, you know, it doesn't reflect that way to Xander right off, but at the end, you know, he truly doesn't care. But I'm like, this is what they want to use Xander for, fucking donut runs. So we know he's the one. Every time we've seen pizza on that table during a sesh, donuts, or any kind of other snacks, we know Xander's brought them. Cutting back over to Xander apologizing endlessly to Jack in efforts to secure his safety, talking about how his car came out of nowhere. I'm like, bro, that was parked. Like, what are you talking about? It came out of nowhere? Xander going, exactly. Offering to pay for damages as Jack pulls out a really large knife named Matey Katie, asking, it's an inside joke between us, by the way. Like, I used to call Courtney Matey Katie back in the day, which is why I was like, did you meet Katie? And I was like, you're Katie. Do you get the idea now? You get the thing? You know. It's Matey Katie. Anyways, asking Xander where he wants it, which is so fucked up to pull out a knife and then ask somebody where they want to get stabbed at. Like,
and not just like, that's a fucking Rambo survival knife. Those big ass
so
knives.
Thick. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
you one slit with that and you're dead. Like one stab and it's got all your
Crocodile
organs.
Dundee says, no, this is a knife.
Well,
That's
maybe his son says that nowadays, but you know. We're in the 90s though, so it's okay. The girl also apparently liking knives to say that at school. She's like, oh, cool knife. Like, I'm like, oh, so you like cars and knives? Okay, gotcha. But she's also not like worried for Xander. She's like, hey, I like your knife. Like, go ahead and stab him. Maybe I'll leave with you in your car. He brings it to Xander's throat, threatening him, claiming that he must feel pathetic.
Mostly I feel Katie.
He and Xander get into a tough, and a cop rolls up on them. Jack backing off as he questions what's going on. The cop clearly knowing O'Toole, asking Xander if he was attacking him. And Xander standing up for Jack here and saying that they were just two guys wrestling, because no one on the show can say wrestling. They say wrestle. Like, it's got a fucking A in it instead of an E. But either way, they were just blowing off steam. But not in a gay way. Just to point that out. We have to be really firm that this was not gay, homosexual, erotic behavior. Just like in the other episode, which was that Phases as well? That was also Phases with the Larry Xander fake out in the fucking gym room and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. It reminded me of that, though. The cop leaves, and Jack smirks at Xander, saying that was so chill of him to not narc on him, saying he likes Xander, and asking if the two want to have some fun. And the way he says it, too, I noticed the way the actor portrays it. He's like, I like you. Like, it gave the note of, I don't like you, but this makes you a little bit better in my eyes. And then also, like, I'm going to fuck up your life from here on out, essentially. Like, I'm going to invite you into my group, but my group is not actually the group that you want to be a part of.
But it's going to be the cause of your demise.
Exactly. Yeah. It was very layered, just that one little sentence. It's funny, too, because as soon as he's like, we're going to have some fun, and the girls all like driving? And I'm like, yes, girl, driving. God fucking damn it. I was rolling my eyes. Yeah. I'm like, bitch, if you don't shut the fuck up. Like, I'm so glad she's about to leave in 2 seconds. Ugh.
One track mind Sally over here.
Lizette. Xander asking what about his car, and then Jack telling him, oh, that's not even my car. So he was
I know, I was so mad.
That was such a great button to that whole thing. It's like, wait, that's not even his car.
This shit's fucked up. That is so dramatic. Like, one, you're gonna pull a knife on Xander and be all up your ass for this incident, and then that's not even your car. Like, you need to see a therapist stat. You need to go have a little beer shot with Anna and be out the door fucking with your therapist. Jack again saying, let's go get the boys. Xander asking, where are they? Cutting over to the graveyard where Jack is speaking a spell over a grave, cutting his hand and dripping blood over it for the dead to arise. A jock in a leather school jacket crawling up from the grave. Bob, the big hideous corpse, has risen. So funny, too, because we know when these people are buried, you have to claw your way out of a coffin before you can get up. So the fact that he just finishes his spell and all of a sudden they're breaking from the ground, they're in a box.
Split.
Like,
just boom.
But we got to surpass that. That's got to be out of sight, out of mind. We can't have the logistics of actuality in the show because that would take too long.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good 6 feet. It's like, I would imagine there'd be some struggle. Like, he just was poof. I mean,
all
maybe
of them.
He threw some Leviosa in there, like.
No, apparently maybe they just got buried by Sunnydale Committee, and Sunnydale doesn't even put people in coffins half the time because there's so many dead people. They're putting them 4 feet in the ground and just layering a little like fresh film over them.
From labor costs. Come on.
Well, Jack and him hug, excited to see one another. The girl wigging out finally and running off screaming at what she has witnessed, fairly so. He gets introduced to Xander, aka the Wheels, and the way he just hits Xander 2 on the arm makes me want to die because he like fucking slammed. And then Xander, being his little instant self, he gets thrown back and he's like, ha, ha, like, oh fuck, like. What have I just gotten myself into? Reads all over his face. He claims they just need to get the rest of the boys, he being Jack. Xander calling out, are all your friends dead? Bob being filled in on the 8 months also that he was down. Pleased with the decision also of Jack taping all of the recent episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger for him while he was laid to rest. I was like, this is so important. I was like, Courtney, if I ever die, and you know that you have a potential of bringing me back, can you please tape all the new Buffy episodes that are about to come out if I don't get to watch the new show? So that way I can get
when I rise you from the dead, they'll be readily available.
I need you to contact Paw and get Jack's grandfather's spell ritual to help bring me back. Obviously, you know I'll be buried 4 feet under the ground. You can just throw some dirt on me and I'll come back. Like, it'll be fine.
Well,
first I need to find Jack.
I think they would bury them halfway because they have a habit of crawling way out, and it would save on like the refilling costs because you got to pay somebody, and it's like, well, there's a big difference between 3 feet and 6 feet in terms of labor costs to fill these graves. So as a system, it's like, look, they're potential. They got a 50-50 shot, as we're seeing, with like the city, as the city committee of them rising up from the grave. So we might as well leave him halfway so we don't have like a big to do in cleaning it up.
Listen, this is so funny
true.
because that was all a minute ago, and Frank's been sitting here while we were talking about Walker, Texas Ranger, and Buffy. He's sitting there permeating in his head about this fucking shallow ass
I
Raven.
love Frank's train of thought. No,
Yeah, I was really thinking, like, what logistical reason would it be to this? It's like, no,
There's not
And
one.
meanwhile,
That's in my
I'm
headcanon.
like, it had to have been far enough down in case there's a heavy rainstorm, because I'm like, they can't be that close to the surface because, like, they don't have to rise from the dead to be seen if there's a heavy storm. So at least, like, they had to put in half the labor, like you're saying, Frank. And then they were like, we'll just compromise and do half the amount.
But in reality, we know they're in coffins and they just clawed their way out, but it just didn't show all that for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, this is also where the score for the Zeppo starts to cue in as they claim that this is going to be a night to remember. Xander sensing that to be true awardedly. Love the Zeppo score. Like, I don't know if that's what it's entitled, but it's the main thing. And like, this will always make me think of Xander anytime I hear this. It's so quirky, the way that they did the elements in the music and put all these little things in here. It's just very, I don't know, windy, windy, and like lets you know a lot's happening and stuff like that. It plays when all these chaotic scenes are happening, and then they back off for a while and then speed back up and slow back down, like Christoph Beck.
It's very similar to the very string heavy music for Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, very.
I think even in that episode I said would have a callback to this type of music because it's whenever he's running and he meets Willow in the bedroom and she wants to suck on his earlobe and shit. That's whenever the music kind of keys in, and I actually think it's the same little.
It might be
preface of the score, like basically giving us a little taste of it before we get back here later. Which I think I said in that episode it'll come to be known as more of like Little Xander's theme. I did have a question. I put my notes after this all goes off too. I was like, why do we think Xander is always attracting literal chaos? Because obviously he can't have normal relationships. Obviously he had the one with Cordelia, but we still like, he's on the sidelines with the gang. So crazy stuff's happening. But the last time you were on, he was dealing with all the stuff in Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. He's had the pairings with Natalie French and Ampada. He's now getting paired up with the dead, once again attracting the total opposite of what he would really actually want for like his new change or whatever. Why is that?
He's just a goof up. I do appreciate more than this one in this episode. This is not his fault. Anything that's happening in this one.
No.
In Bewitched, Bothered, Bewildered, it is his fault what's happening. Like, it is everything happens because he wanted to get back at Cordelia.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it's just like, he's just trying to just get the gang donuts. He's just trying to do the right thing. And shit keeps happening.
That's what I'm saying. He's like a natural attractant to these types of
Yeah.
energies. I'm like, poor Xander. I thought it was interesting too because I was like reflecting on the zombies and whatnot. And I was like, I think it's interesting that he gets paired up with dead guys because it's like mirroring his internal struggle of being dead weight or irrelevant to his friend group. So now he's literally hanging out with the dead. He's forced to hang out with them in this episode. That's kind of interesting to think about in that way. We see them now raising another person and driving off. At Restfield Cemetery, Giles speaks with the clouded mist in Latin, the guide denying Giles information essentially, but giving us the moment of Xander to run into Giles, him wondering what Xander's doing out there.
We were just raising some heck.
Xander, go!
Giles can see everybody hanging out by the car, but he can't like make out that they're dead or anything like that. And Xander again asks if he can help, and Giles is like, no, you should stay out of trouble, and commenting on how the air has that stench of death.
Yeah, I think it's a bomb.
So funny because he's just like, the way Xander delivers the line, and Giles doesn't even pay attention to what he said or be like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, what's going, whatever. He just like out of sight, out of mind and gathers his stuff and leaves, saying he hopes they have the time to prepare before it happens. And then Xander's left in the dark. He's like, what's happening?
They're not explaining what's going on to him because like he's there for the audience to ask like what's happening here, and they're refusing to answer him, which is so like such a perverse thing to do. It's like in screenwriting, you want to give the audience all the information they need, and this episode is willfully, just as a joke, we're not going to tell you what's happening because that's funny.
Which they have like told us as the viewers, like we know the Hellmouth might open, that what the Sisterhood of the J are doing, and stuff
They've
like that.
given you the broad strokes,
but they're not telling you the nitty gritty, or like telling Xander specifically, because we're watching that through his eyes this episode as well. So it's like really,
they've introduced this concept of the spirit, like where he's talking to these spirits. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, where the hell are we doing this now? Like, this is a thing we do now. Like, what is this?
Why didn't Giles come here to talk about Buffy going to fight the Master? Like, where was all this then?
Right, so I mean, there's this world building of all this shit, but they're not explaining it to you, really? It's just like, yeah. It's like, but what exactly are they going to do? They're going to open the Hellmouth, but okay, whatever.
What happens then? Monsters come out. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
And I like how he tails off at the end of that. He's like, hopefully we have time to prepare before it happens. And then we get another round of cutscene transition magic over to Willie's bar as Willie appears to have been beaten near to death, and not by Buffy's hands this time, who is telling her tonight, this is when it will be occurring. So we now get the like full spectrum on like when it is occurring. Apparently he got beat up also by the Sisterhood because they couldn't find Angel, and they're like trying to find him to eliminate, and Buffy as well after they succeed in that, so that way they can have their apocalypse party. Buffy says that she's going to stop them, and he hopes so, because if the Hellmouth opens, that's the least they have to worry about. Offering Buffy and Angel to go somewhere quiet instead and think about how they want to spend their last night on Earth. Once again, like creating this big dynamic of like this big thing's going down, the world's going to end, whatever. Go be with your honey and all this. Like, it's the rapture. No, that was 2 weeks ago, and the week before that.
No, it's
and
today
May 11th,
again.
And yeah. Buffy be acting like how all the predicting people in the world be acting with the rapture. Inaccurate, but also avoidable. Except on Buffy, it's usually pretty accurate. Back over with Xander, we see that they've collected their final member of the undead gang, and they are hella stoked. They're talking about ideas for the night, how they died, and how they want to bake a cake, and how they need supplies. Pulling up to a hardware store, hopping out, telling Xander to stay behind the wheel. Him confused, saying that this time of night that store is sure to be closed, as they send a trash can through the window, breaking in.
But they're always open for crime. Okay, now I'm involved in crime. I'm the criminal element. Having a car sure is cool.
Xander, do you not realize this says hardware store where you're parking at and they're breaking into? This doesn't say like fucking Kroger or Publix or Harris Teeter or Walmart or like whatever the fuck else. Like, It's a hardware store. Why didn't you already put two and two together? Like,
he doesn't put it together till like a few scenes later.
I really like having a car sure is cool. Like, he's already negatively reflecting on himself and being like, okay, this is not what I expected. It's so funny. But this is where it tails off, because this is where we start to see Xander really getting stressed out with everything that's about to occur for him. He hears and also sees Willow coming out of the magic shop. Xander running over to her. She's asking him what he's doing there. And he's like, certainly not crime. Asking her the same, and her saying that she's getting supplies for protection spells because they found out it's happening tonight. Him trying to get the gist again of what exactly it is, and then she doesn't have the time to explain it and rushes off to get this stuff to Buffy. And then we get a cute little moment too, because she comes back to offer him a big hug and tell him that she loves him, as if this is potentially her last interaction with Xander. Like,
It pissed me off.
I'm like,
more.
Willow's allowed to be in this group. What is she going to be doing? Casting spells on this fucking big monster, even though
On the apocalypse.
Got cast buffs.
But listen, even though Giles tells her, I mean, well, maybe in retrospect, like, Xander was off with Angel trying to rescue Buffy, and Willow was in the room whenever the Master was about to get killed, fighting off this demon with Giles and Jenny and like the others, like Cordelia or whatever, when this initially happened. So I was like, obviously she has the witchcraft on her thing, but maybe that's also why she has kind of like reason for being there. But also, Willow's just as expendable as Xander in this kind of situation. You're going to put her in this room with this big old monster thing. She ain't doing some big spells. Giles doesn't even want her here in a second, helping her after he finishes lighting the candles, doing the stuff to bind the Hellmouth from opening, which clearly does not work. Just to throw that out there now. Like, the Sisterhood of 𝑭𝑹𝑨𝑵𝑚𝑲 come through with what they were trying to do this night.
She could have been like in the back. Like, I just figure it like, you know, when you're playing World of Warcraft, you have Angel in the front tanking, and you just have her in the back casting healing shit.
Yeah.
He's doing Arcana spells. What's his name? Fucking so Giles is doing like Arcana shit, and he's just like, okay, great.
Oh my god! But then later when we see them, they're all like in a different position, hacking at the demon with different weapons and shit.
The plan completely fell to shit. Like, obviously, it's like, okay, what's left? Just stab it.
Angel apparently gets knocked out, like,
hopefully,
from whatever big moment he was trying to have. I don't know what was going on. Well, Xander's fed up, and he starts to get in his car ahead to help the gang regardless, when Jack cuts him off, telling him he can't bail on them, and the gang are all upset because they know they need their will man. Bob saying Xander doesn't feel like part of the group because he hasn't been initiated. Xander nervously saying he will join in what he will have to do. And Xander kind of gets like, he's like, oh, cool, I want to be part of the gang. Jack pulling out Katie again, affirming he's got to die. That's how you get initiated. Xander confused because that's not the vibe at all. And he even says, he's like, I'm not dying to be in the gang, if you get the pun. Also pointing out how Jack's not dead. Septi is, and he exposes his gunshot wounds that happened a few weeks ago, resulting in his death. And we're like, fuck, this guy's still attending school even though he's dead. Like, also, we've never seen Jack before at this school. So this is another one of these one-off characters that go to school here that we don't see all the time. For him to be a menace at the school, you'd think we have heard about him before. And then he mentions, again, where he got the mojo, learning to raise the dead from his old grandpappy, who raised him 10 minutes after. That other dead dude, too, also talking about, yeah, let's kill Xander. It'll be fun. I'm like, boy, shut up. Like, like if I was Xander, I'd be like, no, we don't need all that commentary.
Imagine how weird and insular your group is that you'd be surprised when somebody's not all in with, yeah, let's get killed. Yeah, let me get killed with, like, you guys.
Well, I mean, I talk about it in metaphor and themes later, but obviously this is kind of a callback to like toxic masculinity and what the structure of becoming part of the brotherhood entails and stuff like that, all the hazing and all that other shit. This one, obviously, a lot more is at stake, but, you know. Xander attempts to run off, using the coffee shop as barricade to dodge them, then running back to the car and driving off, leaving them deserted on Main Street. Them upset because their wheels and cake supplies are now gone. Them going back into the hardware store to get more, where that came from. Xander having a breath of relief, driving and saying that was enough excitement for him for one evening, then drives by seeing Faith battling one of the demon sisters. So he helps her by running down the demon with his car, telling her to get in as the two drive off, making their way to Faith's motel. Getting inside, he helps Faith reset her dislocated shoulder, getting awfully close, and this apparently bringing to Faith's notice that she is really wound up. And a fight like that with no kill leaves her needing a bit more energy that needs to pop, as she says, fondling Xander's chest and body, asking if he's up for it. Him saying he is, Faith reaching down to his now throbbing, and he's suddenly very up. He clarifies that he's never been up with people before. I'm laughing at Courtney. She's about to die. He's never been up with people before, and Faith madly kisses him with heavy tongue, tossing him over onto the bed after ripping his shirt off, climbing on top of him, saying that she will steer him around the curves. And I'm like, her curves? Oh my. Shit. He questions if he mentioned that he's been having a very strange night, and then we watch in the TV screen as her and Xander fuck. Cutting to afterward, him lying there caressing her like a simp, flashing outside moments later the hotel door as it opens and Faith shoves him out half naked, exclaiming to him,
That was great. I got a shower.
she's used him and losed him.
How surprised were you by this?
That's
Courtney?
my next question. Like, Courtney, I mean, I know she texted me, but like, bitch.
Listen, this was legit one of those moments on the show where I was like waiting to get like rewind back to the place where Xander fell asleep and we didn't catch it, and he's dreaming this whole sequence, and then he like wakes up and we're like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's normal. You know, like, yeah, he would be dreaming about that. But then when like it just kept going on and the episode was really the episode, I was like, hold on, did that just happen? And how are we just gonna have that happen and just breeze by it? And there's no other like addressing it like throughout the episode. You're just like,
what just happened?
What just happened? What just happened?
And he doesn't acknowledge it for a few minutes later. Like it's just like
yeah,
the scene.
it feels like forever. You're just like
what?
Was Xander there too? Did he remember that it happened? Is he so flabbergasted that he's processing it like I am, where I'm just like, was that a dream? Or did I get like knocked unconscious?
Well, it's kind of funny to add the element that you told me yesterday when I was with y'all that you and Meredith had fell asleep watching like Hulu or something, and you woke up in the middle of the night, and it was in the middle of that scene with Faith and him having sex, and she was like, "Hold up, I gotta stop this." Obviously, but they're also pondering like what's happening, and Meredith's like, "I had forgotten they had sex because I watched the show back in the '90s, whatever." But Courtney's like, "I was just thinking."
No,
like,
and Meredith was the one that was like convinced as hell that it was a dream. Like she literally forgot to the point that actually happened, that she thought, she's like, no, I think that was a dream. They did not.
Well, which is funny because
like, I'm pretty sure that was a dream. I was like, right.
At that point, you pause the episode, go back to bed, and like cut the TV off, whatever you're doing, kiss a little bit. Maybe you and her get a little frisky. Who knows? Courtney gets some trim at 3 a.m.
Scissors.
Yes, scissors, because lesbian.
Like Eddie Murphy.
Yes, exactly. But then you go back to rewatch the episode, and you watch everything unfolding, and you know it's actually not a dream that's occurring and stuff like that. Like, do you low-key like love this moment for Xander, or the moment in general other than
No.
Oh.
I did initially, and I would have if it was probably anyone else, even if it was like a random girl, even if it was that girl that he had in the car with him earlier that was car obsessed, you know, like whatever. I would have probably loved that more for him than it being Faith, because I think we know enough about Faith that when you do get to the point when this is discussed, the obvious happens and Xander has to be slapped with the reality that he's just like this toy that she used in the heat of the moment, and it could have been anyone and she would have had sex with them, because she herself has exclaimed she gets horny after Slayer duty. She didn't get the gratification of having a kill, so of course she's going to need something else to like really get her off for the night.
Yeah.
And it just happened to be Xander. It could have been anyone, you know, and that like is made clear to him later. But I think as a viewer, at least from my viewpoint, that's already clear.
Yeah.
So as much as you want to be like, yeah, go Xander, he got some trim. You want to celebrate it for him, but it's almost like you feel bad for him in advance, because you know that like there's that the potential is higher for Xander to be like, oh my god, you know, like maybe she likes me, and he's almost the girl in the position and Faith is the boy in the position, like mentally
Obviously,
speaking, where she's like very used to discarding people when she's done. That's that, you know, and that's all that Xander is. And Xander's like, he has the potential of like falling in love and like all these other things.
I love that you've been able to watch, like, we're ahead on the show and you got to watch Bad Girls and Consequences. So now you saw the whole scene that happens with Faith. And like you said, to get slapped in the face with the fact that like he was just a boy toy for the night. And she like tries to choke him out in Consequences and kill him essentially whenever she's having her journey of her bad arc starting. Like, it's so nice that we watched it yesterday.
We watched the next two episodes already.
So, like, because we're a few episodes ahead on our actual watch and our recordings and stuff like that.
I was about to say, like, shit. I was just like, wow, how the hell is she calling? Like, the next, I was like, I didn't want to say, like,
no, we've already watched it. We double did it yesterday because we were together and we did a reaction video for Bad Girls because that's such a huge episode, obviously. And then I was like, we might as well watch Consequences so that we know what's going on. And it's like a two-parter without it being a two-parter, you know?
Yeah.
So, for my take on it, obviously, like, I think this is a huge moment for Xander. I don't know how I necessarily feel about it. The only things I will say is obviously, like you were saying, hungry and horny. Faith is horny, so she wanted some dick. So that's what she got. Xander got the trim that he wanted. It's not 8th grade anymore. This is also like a little bit of his journey, whatever. But I was like, Xander got to sleep with the hottest, baddest girl on this show so far, and a Slayer at that. Kudos to you. Right time, right place. Of course, you know, we know all the elements there that led to that. But this is huge for him because when he loses his virginity, ain't no girl got a joke about playing dress up as a Slayer and holding a stake to his throat like Courtney did. He's got the real thing this time around. And I was like, this kind of brings his journey in this episode full circle because it's almost like this episode gets treated for him like a coming of age story and a moment for him to grow up and experience / do more adult things. Also, navigating in his own life, figuring himself out on his own as opposed to being in the group that he's normally in. And we can now see what happens when he does. He's been begging for this moment because he's been a horned up asshole the whole time on the show. You know what I mean? He's always making sexual jokes and stuff. So now I was like, well, after this is done, this finally kind of sets him right to grow differently here on out in certain ways, at least. And I think this is a catalyst to Xander being like, oh, I finally got some. Now I can be like, I'm not going to fiend for it the same way or be this horny adolescent male. I can actually take an adult approach to a mindset here.
He feels more like a man, I'm sure. Yeah.
Which makes him feel like there's a little thing checked off for him now. Like, I can.
And that part is true, but I think, like, I don't know, I didn't lose sight of that action having consequences, ironically enough, to just lead into an episode called Consequences. But I didn't lose sight of the ripple effect there because also we know that when Xander does anything with another person, especially a female on the show, and that female not being Willow, it will indirectly impact Willow somehow later, you know, when she finds out that this happened. So it's kind of like you don't lose, and then you're kind of like, how will Cordelia feel when she finds out that he fucked Faith? Like, all these things didn't like ever come up. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't lose sight of all of those things. So it was like, as much as you can praise him, because like we just said, it is kind of like a step into manhood in a way. It's like a very adult thing to do. We all talk about it at some point before we actually get to do that with with people. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. So it is one of those like high five moments, but I feel like for me it got depleted right away because I'm like, well, what's Cordelia gonna think? What's Buffy even gonna think? What's Willow gonna think? Like, did he just really fuck himself further as far as their image of him is concerned, just because, and then how will they look at her for doing that with Xander of all people when she could have literally fucked anybody,
which is going to be fun to talk about in the consequences coverage when we get to that Willow scene and all of that too, seeing how the backlash of it kind of happens and affects, and then also how that involves like what's going on with Faith in that part, because like if it were from this point and everybody found out about Faith, they're like, oh, Faith's just like, she's like chill, she's like kind of a bad girl, blah blah blah, but she's also not out here killing people and like going down the dark path, you know what I mean? So it puts a new spin on it later.
It is funny because especially you always, you just think of a boy like that age losing their virginity. I bet you didn't think it'd go quite like that, did you, son? You know what I mean? It's just like, like that you have that, like when you're that age, you build things like this, like your first time up in your head, like it's going to be this thing. It's like, I bet you didn't see it going that way, did you?
This makes sense that it would happen to Xander this way, though.
You almost feel bad for him in a way because it's kind of like Faith just dismisses that this is like his virginity, and to her this is just like an old, like she just gets to bang real quick and then that's that, like I said, she's very dude minded in this position where it's like normally you would think that the guy, the young 18-year-old 17-year-old whatever dude, is the one who has the perception of let's get this over with because I just want to get past this point, lose my virginity, and then go on with life, and it's weird to see Faith in that position where she's kind of like, well, we'll just bulldoze right over the importance of this night for you, and I'm just gonna bang you for 5 minutes and kick you the fuck out, and that'll be the memory you're left with for your virginity having been taken.
Listen, do y'all think he lasted more than 5 minutes, and do you think he pleased and satisfied Faith? She looked pretty okay afterwards, and she was like, that was great, I got a shower.
I feel like for it to be over that quickly and her to like be conducive with it being over that quickly enough to kick him out maybe does indicate that she was satisfied, unless she was already like giving up hope and she's like, I'll just have to take care of myself.
I'm gonna go get the shower. This motel, the one thing it does have is a good shower head.
It's detachable,
pressure's on point.
Oh shit! She said this layer stuff kind of gets the testosterone going, so I definitely got that to help.
It's got a pulse. It's very rare you find the one with a good pulse.
It's got an adjustable setting.
No, I love it, and I feel like it's fun to analyze it and assess it now in this viewpoint for the podcast and really looking at the show for what it is. Because as a kid growing up, like I'm just like hyped. Obviously, Tiffany, like my sister, was obsessed with this. She's like, and like I forgot to call this out, and I guess I'll call it out in the middle of the fucking episode. Like this is my sister that's passed away. Her favorite episode of Buffy because she was a huge Xander fan. I should have led with that. I didn't put it in my notes, so sorry, Tiffany, but she's low-key in spirit here with us today, as is every Buffy podcast. But like she loved this moment for Xander, and because Faith was her favorite character on the show, like it put her two favorite characters together, so it was very, very nice to like kind of see that in that way. But as a kid, you just kind of like accept it for what it is. You're like, okay, Faith had sex with Xander. That's a big moment for the show, and it's something that will ripple out for forever as a commentary thing, you know what I mean? Like that's where Xander got to start. That's a big moment for them, so it is what it is. Moving along back into the episode though. Over at the library, where Oz is leaping at the cage door repeatedly, trying to get out. Willow commenting she's never seen him like this. Giles confirming it's him sensing the Hellmouth and he knows it's going to open. Giles moving to open the cage door, handing Willow the trank gun to shoot him with as he busts out, because he can't even get the damn door open. I was like, that door was done. Willow does shoot him though, having to do it a second time as Giles struggles with him, and he finally passes out saying they got to move him elsewhere.
What was their plan? I don't understand. What were they trying to do?
They could have shot that dart through the door. It's got those holes. Like, I mean, the chance of it hitting that metal is a little slim to none, but like...
That's a sketch plan at best. Like, I'm going to open it and you just shoot really fast. Like, this is the plan?
And unfortunately, it's fucking Giles and Willow in here doing this. Like, they felt successful enough to do this. Obviously, Buffy's over running with Angel and stuff like that. But I would at least had to call Buffy and be like, hey, can you come to the library for like 10 minutes?
Maybe start the door opening process after I have the gun trained.
Ready to go. Yes, no.
Or just not open the door like you said. Like that's just a better. Like,
but it's also got this the drop box for books in it. Yeah, stick the gun tip up to that and shoot through that. Like no,
you don't even have to use the gun. You could put like a thing with a plunger on the end of a stick.
Frank, this is coming from the logic of dead people come fresh out the grave and not from their coffins. Okay.
That's true.
All right, anyways. Xander getting back into his car, sits there, realizing the supplies in the backseat are definitely not to bake a cake, returning to the hardware store, noticing that they aren't in sight, wondering if they reloaded and where they would go, needing to pause and think, commenting to himself, astounded, because I love it. In this moment, he's just like trying to think about this, and he's like,
I can't believe I had sex. Okay, bombs. Already dead guys with bombs. Oh, man, I'm out of my league. Buffy, you know what to do.
Where he finally first acknowledges that this happened. It's like, yeah, exactly. And then he's like, yeah, we don't have time to deal with
which
that
again
right
is so
now.
funny that he had to get dressed on the way back to his car because he's standing out there in his underwear outside a cold motel. Or a warm motel because it's, you know, Sunnydale, California. But then he moves to go find Buffy because she will know what to do. Cutscene transition magic over to Angel's mansion where Buffy is dramatically expressing to him, I don't know what to do. Him offering he be the decoy while Willow works the spell, like which could obviously get Angel killed. Buffy demanding that this is not an option. The two furthering their dramatic dialogue while Close Your Eyes is playing in the background, eventually to be interrupted by Xander.
I can't watch you die again.
I love you.
I love you.
Nothing can change that. Not even death.
Don't talk to me like that. You may be ready to go, but I am not ready to lose you. Okay, this is my fight. And if you won't do it my way, then you're...
Hey. I've got this, there's this, this is probably a bad time.
That shit is so funny because Xander, like Buffy and them are doing that theatric shit, and we'll talk about it like more after we get through the rest of like a little bit of the scene when Xander goes to leave. But like Buffy and Angel having this moment just in the dialogue is really painting. It's like being on the hilltop in Amends again, or being at the Becoming Part 2, or her and Angel in past episodes. Like they're like going back and forth with each other. Like, no, I can't lose you. Well, this is the only choice we have to do. But no, I love you. But no, you love me, and all of this shit. And then Xander just comes in. Like, can I interrupt? He goes to leave and he turns back one more time to say, can I help? And Buffy just shakes her head no at him as he leaves and goes out the atrium saying, you know, I can work this out by myself. I got this. I just got to figure out what they're likely to bomb. So we get through that. But like, it's just so funny how the show is so aware of itself and it wants to poke fun here at the Buffy and Angel melodrama that they always have. Also, it's a reminder that in this episode they choose to do this. We're seeing it through Xander's eyes. So this is how he views Buffy and Angel. They probably weren't really having a dialogue like this, but this is how Xander chalks it up in his head because he knows it's an intense
This
moment.
is what they're always
this
doing.
Is just them, you know what I mean? So it's so funny that the writers chose to poke fun at Angel through Xander in this way, but also giving a little taste of the audience to say like, oh my God, why is it always life or death with these two? Why is it always 0 or 100, nowhere in between when Buffy and Angel come to matter?
Just at the way the music stops dead
It's all wrapped
is
up.
the funniest thing. And then as he's gone, when he's fully exited, the music comes back in and they're about to get back into it.
Yep.
I would have liked to see it a pinch more if they would have continued just for another second at the same energy they were at right before he came in. Just for a little bit, like you could see they were about to, but just to like really hammer it home. But I mean, that's so fucking funny, that scene.
It's literally hilarious. I love how he's like, I got to figure out where the bomb is. And then the next clip immediately shows us the high school. But obviously we go back there because Giles is lighting candles over the Hellmouth and there's a painted symbol on the floor. Willow's coming back in to say that she's got Oz safely moved elsewhere in the school. And now they are going to perform the binding spell for the Hellmouth. Giles is like, Willow, you're not going to be participating in the actual working of this. And he ominously states, we have no idea what's going to come from beneath us. And this is where we get some in-scene transition magic because obviously it pans down through the floor, cutting down below them in the school basement where the dead guys are hooking up their bomb that's set to detonate countdown in 1 hour. Fucking crazy. Like, were you like, oh shit, Courtney, like thinking like they were gonna actually blow up the school or like what was gonna happen with this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like, no, yes and no, because you just hope always that like someone is gonna save the day at the last minute, which, you know, but yeah, obviously that became a threat pretty much instantly. But I still didn't understand like the motive, you know, because I was like, why?
They're boys, they just want to tear shit up.
Yeah,
Right.
which basically answers the question. There is no answer.
Yep,
Know,
it's
like
just
they're
for
just
shits and
being
giggles.
dumb as fuck.
Yep, it's just the same as them. Like this is their version of Ding Dong Ditch. Essentially,
That's a little hazardous, but I get it. I mean, it's just like the premise of it. You're not like, I didn't follow it because I'm just like, you hope that this boy who's been dead for 3 weeks is going as far as to like recruit Xander of all people and help him dig up his dead friends. So you hope there's more like as to why, like what's the motive for him digging up his friends? Do they have a whole game plan? Is it more elaborate than just randomly wanting to like blow up the school?
Mhm.
What gratification do you get from blowing up the school? You know, like I have so many questions, so I'm just like, this, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it's chaotic.
Xander's now riding around saying that he will just go to Giles, noticing now the dead guys are walking the streets, them noticing him also, and excited that their wheels guys seem to be back. I'm like, they're probably all thinking to themselves, like, oh shit, he came back. Like, we're cool. We're going to have fun together again. No. He's just back for one of them. Xander revving up fast, grabbing the deadest looking member of the bunch, speeding down the street, dragging him, questioning him where the bomb is, him confirming in fear it's in the school boiler room. Xander asking one final question about bomb defusal, to which the dead guy isn't able to answer because his head hits a mailbox and is torn clean off his shoulders as Xander just screams and drops his body to the ground, making his way to the school, the others still chasing the car in that direction. You know for sure the next shot after this truly should have been some ants crawling all over his head like Charlie in Hereditary, like on the ground. A little cutback scene. This scene is so fucking funny. It's the funniest part of the episode to me. He's being all serious. He's finally taking his stand, and like once again, it's the deadest guy of the bunch that he's got because they couldn't just rip off Bob's head or one of the other guys that really looks kind of human still. They had to get the guy that looks like he's actually like gonna fall apart at any moment. And
he's very
he looks
like fragile.
terrified.
He looked very loose.
He clearly got the weakest member of the group too, but it's just so comical because he's fucking cool as shit, revving down the panned out shots of the car speeding down and the guys dragging along the side. You're just loving this, and then it all builds up, and then his head gets fucking cleaned off, and then the scream from Xander right afterwards. He's really scared at what just happened. The ick factor of the fact that he was holding a dead body in his hand, and then it's just so funny too because I don't know why this makes me laugh, but just the comic effect of dropping someone's dead body like as if they're quickly able to be just discarded, like, you know what I mean, you're just done with them. It's kind of like that's what Faith did to Xander earlier, like. It's just so funny. This episode is hilarious. I hope he busted out laughing when his head popped off his shoulder. Oh shit, but also a great moment for Xander. We finally arrive at the school, and inside the school, the Zeppo theme really kicks in again as Xander runs through the halls, the others hot on his trail, chasing him past the basement access because Xander was going to stop there and had to get chased by it. He couldn't just immediately go down there. And I love how he comments. He's like, where's a Slayer when you need one? As we clip to the Hellmouth, which is now open as the same demons from Prophecy Girl have emerged with, you know, full light show and smoke, hissing and growling. Buffy, Faith, Giles, Willow, and Angel all looking on to it as Giles notates, oh my god, it's grown. Love this callback. Like, did you expect to see this actual demon on the screen again? Did you remember it obviously from Prophecy Girl too?
Yeah, I remember it. I just didn't expect
actually
to ever
forgot
see
it
it
was
again.
from Prophecy Girl.
Yeah, that's the demon that rose on the night. Remember? They said that earlier in the episode. But it's so cool that they brought that back. Outside the library doors, us seeing through its windows, Xander being chased by the demons too, because all this is going on in the library. And here comes with, like, it's obviously the scary music with the demon and all this stuff, and then the music cue for the Zeppo kind of fades back in and the gang's running by, and it's like I said, it's a quirky little fun song, so you're like, oh, here's Xander's shenanigans still taking place. And I love how that one guy like stops and looks into the fucking glass in amazement. He's like, whoa, at the fucking demon, and then continues on his journey. Jack and the boys decide to split up to find Xander faster, Bob moving to grab an axe, which will be good for chopping. You know, he's like, good for chopping. And I'm like, okay, bro, you had to have an extra line.
We get
Finding Xander shortly after, and then dueling with him. Xander getting the upper hand, fighting him back and onto the floor, using the axe to tip the soda machine down onto Bob's head, officially ending his undead afterlife. And I will say, like, I've been noticing this season has been ramping up the kills a little bit differently. We've got a bunch of different little random ways of, like, the fun thing with the demon at the end of Gingerbread, the piercing through the neck, Kakistos, fucking Gwendolyn Post, like all of these different big like theatrical, it's not just vampires getting poofed on screen really anymore, or demons getting stabbed or a neck broken. Like they're finding fun, clever ways to dispose of people, and this was a fun way to do it here. The amazed dead guy, I called him, walking in on the scene as Xander comments to him with the axe, not getting to have his moment before the guy runs off.
You should have learned by now. If you're gonna play with fire, you gotta expect sooner or later. I wasn't finished. Note to self, let's talk.
This is where Courtney texted me and she was like, I loved Xander's moment because he was like, I wasn't finished. Like, she's like, not this guy. What did you,
I laughed so hard. When that happened.
Like, how often am I going to get to this kind of position? And you ruined it for me.
Mm-hmm. But it's perfect.
I
It's
know.
so Xander.
I know. He ruined his entire spiel. I was like, poor Xander. You could tell he was like so ready to have that glory for a second. And that guy was like, I'm out.
This is what you texted me. You said, old boy running away from Xander before he could finish threatening him has me crying. I'm going to keep your screenshot. I'm going to screenshot this and keep it open so that way I can call back to a couple of your other texts by the time we get to the end. Let's see. Xander chases off after him, obviously, after he gets his non-moment. We see Buffy slung out of the library door on her ass into the halls. The demon's heads coming out of the door, too, like extending as she runs back in, screaming for Faith to go for the heart. I love this scene, but also it's so confusing because, like, the demon comes out from the doors, yes. But where are everybody else inside the library? Like, we see, like, Willow up top, like, hitting it with an axe later or something like that, or Giles or somebody, and, like, little flashes. But, like, I'm like, with that thing actually making its way out of the library, what's going on what we can't see? We're, like, on the other half. Like, what's Faith doing? Is Angel laid out dead or passed out at this point? I want to go inside of there and see. Like, why can't we take place in this fight?
And, like, it sounds so compelling what's happening, like from the periphery, and they don't ever allow you a full look of what the scale of what's happening in there.
I'm also curious if this scene plays in with the next one, because Xander continues to chase his dead guy through the halls, cutting the corner after him when we see the two running back in the same direction they just came from, because now they're getting chased by three of Sisterhood of the J demons. Xander hiding behind a wall as they chase the dead guy into a room and brutally rip him apart, giving time for Xander to get to the boiler room. One of the Hellmouth demon's heads also in this moment appears, because Xander's like, I'm going to go this way. And when he goes to turn, the demon's head comes through and looks at Xander. And he's like, he's like, I'm going to go the other way. Like, but I'm like, okay, how did this happen? Because, like, where is he in the high school to where a demon's head could come through? Is that when they busted out on Buffy and she was running back in there? Was that at the moment when one of the heads happened to go through the wall too or something?
Yeah.
I'm like, that makes no sense. But they had to construct this head and push it through the wall. Like, they were having a time with this episode. Fun time. It's also really goofy looking because these monsters do not look scary. They just look stupid. They look like Tremors gone. It's Temu Tremors. The grabbers or graboids or whatever the fuck they're called from Tremors.
They look like Tremors with progeria.
Yeah. Well, he finally gets down to the boiler room, coming face to face with the bomb, not knowing what to do, but also Jack appearing to face off with him. Jack gets the upper hand on Xander, pulling out Katie to kill him with it, noting off all the things that he's going to do to Xander. And I love Xander. He's like, you're going to do all that in 49 seconds? He says 20 something, I think, but whatever. He fights him back again, and the two arrive at a standoff. Xander now in front of the exit door. With seconds ticking away, sarcasming, can Jack get by him and out of the building without trouble or before the bomb goes off? Jack noting they will both die then, and Xander arriving at the fact of it coming down to who has less fear, which is a callback because Jack had mentioned about fear earlier and who had less of it. Jack voicing he's not afraid to die, he's already dead, and Xander noting out, well, you know, this is a lot different. When you're blown up, you're not being able to come and hang out with your friends and do all this stuff. You're just little pieces. You can't come back from that. The timer finally reaching its 20-something seconds, and Xander accepting this may be his fate and voicing he likes the quiet. Which I love this. He just kind of like, he's like, this is honorable death for me. Like, if this is how it ends up, then this is how I go out. And big moment for Xander. Clipping back one final time to the library for us to see the gang hacking away at the demon. And then Jack caving in, finally defusing the bomb when we get back over with him and Xander, and it shuts off before it hits the final second. Good boy, Xander says as he moves to Jack, saying he doesn't want to be seeing him around anymore, leaving. Jack commenting to himself that he's not going anywhere. He's like, next time you open your eyes, Xander Harris, I'll be there, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately for him, he opens the fucking door that Willow has locked Oz in, and Xander was blocking, and Oz leaps out and mauls him to his death. which is really fucked up.
What a fun episode. Like, it had one last surprise, like, up its sleeve.
Yep.
It's like, gotcha again.
Yep. The next day, the gang sits in reflection of the nights before Hellmouth horrors, but how it was successfully fought back and the mouth was closed again. Everyone appearing bruised and beaten up, them noting how no one around them will ever know how close the world came to ending, Willow voicing they will never know what they did. And I love it because they're saying this, like, no one will ever know what we did for them. As Xander comes up, having just done something that they will never know he did, talking about how they should be glad he missed out on a lot last night, how he should be glad he wasn't there. He voices he likes the quiet life, which is a callback to his last quote with Jack, asking if anyone wants a snack. Definitely not Oz, though, because he's oddly full today. Xander turning back to leave, getting cut off by Cordelia, her snarking at him.
Ooh, look, it's Mr. Excitement. On another life or death donut mission, or are we just cruising for bimbos again? Giving them lessons in lack of cool. What? What? What?
He just smiles at her insults, not giving her any mouth back or attention, smiling to himself as she is left confused. We fade to black, and here endeth the Xander-centric episode. I love it so much. I love that ending thing. Dose Reviews said Buffy the Vampire Slayer is strong enough and well written, enough to satirize itself and make it work. We still had a major character doing some major character development. Since Xander saved the world, outsmarted O'Toole, and had sex for the first time, but no one will ever know, and he grew. He didn't need to boast about it all also, and in the end, Cordelia's needling no longer hurts him. And I, at myself side of that, it made me reflect on it. I was like, I love that for Xander, because he did not brag about his actions at all. It kind of shows who he will eventually become, even though that's a very long road within that journey. But this is just, like I said, a little setup for the future taste of Xander that we get. And I love where he's set here. Xander now kind of knows who I am or who I could be or what I could offer, what I could not offer. And even in those moments, who cares? Because I got me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I like that for Xander. Courtney said, texting me, she's like, well, I love Xander now. What a gangster. And then she's like, I love that he smiled also at the ticking bomb like a psycho. He did so good and hit that Uno reverse on Cordy.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up what I
love it. Like, I know, and I love that though. But I love it for Xander because we've had this moment to now sit with him in a different way. And even though this episode isn't super cheesy or super reflective, it still gives you the taste of what you need to really come back to a space where you can be appreciative of Xander and for what he brings to the show, what he brings in a new dynamic. Because this is the first time Xander kind of saved the day in a way, you know?
True. Yeah.
I just think it's one of the funniest episodes. It was one of when I first watched it. It was one of those episodes that made me go, wow, I didn't know you could do that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know you could do that kind of thing, like with a TV show. Like, in just storytelling in general, to just, like, make fun of your own show. Like, how do you do that?
That's so funny.
While making fun at Xander, too, at the same time, the funniest character.
Yeah,
like,
it's
the comic relief. Like,
yeah, and furthering characters and furthering, like, storylines and doing, like, weird work and setting up things that will pay off later.
Yep.
It's crazy how much stuff is actually happening.
This show is beautiful, and these writers
so
are
impressive.
amazing, very impressive. That's why this show speaks for itself. It gets its own fucking rep. Like, no, anyone that ever likes this show will eventually love it. Like, 100%.
I just, it's if you like things that are good, you should like this show. It's just like, you're going to tell me that
Let me ever meet somebody. I've met plenty of people that have said, I've not seen Buffy. That's great. I always tell them to go watch it. Whether they do or don't, that's not on me. But if I ever, and have never, met somebody that says, I don't like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you better get the fuck away from me. All right, themes and metaphor for the Zeppo. It's one of those episodes that plays along like a comedy, a Xander-focused story where he's off stumbling through Sunnydale while the rest of the Scoobies are busy trying to stop yet another apocalypse. But the brilliance of this episode is how it shifts perspective and forces us to reconsider what counts as real heroism. The title is a big clue. The Zeppo comes from the Zeppo Mark's brother, who was always seen as unnecessary and the solo one. And that's exactly how Xander feels here. The powerless member of a team full of super strength, magical, and knowledgeable knowledgeable people. His entire journey is fueled by this insecurity, the need to matter, to prove he isn't just baggage. What makes this episode so clever is how it flips the usual Buffy formula. The A plot is technically Buffy and the gang battling an apocalyptic cult and apocalypse in general, but we barely see it. Instead, the spotlight is on Xander's so-called B plot, his chaotic night with Jack O'Toole and a gang of undead punks, fast cars, posturing, and dangerous choices. And the more the story unfolds, the more you realize this B plot is actually just as important, if not more. While Buffy is fighting to stop the world-ending evil, it's Xander who quietly prevents disaster in a way no one else will ever witness. Thematically, the episode is really about masculinity, insecurity, and what it means to be valuable. Jack and his crew embody this cartoonish version of toxic masculinity, the need to look tough and to intimidate. Xander spends much of the episode pulled into that same energy, trying to perform a version of cool that never quite fits him. But his actual strength comes when he rejects all of that. He proves himself not by playing the tough guy, but by staying calm and courageous when it matters most. And then there's the meta element, the way that the episode pokes fun at Buffy's usual epic battles. Seen from the episode, Buffy's big showdown almost looks melodramatic, while Xander's smaller hidden story carries the weight of the real victory. It's the show reminding us that the main story isn't always the one we think it is. Sometimes the unsung moments, the unnoticed characters, are just as heroic. So what the Zeppo leaves us with is, how do you measure worth when you're the ordinary one in an extraordinary group? What does it mean to be a hero when no one ever knows what you did? For Xander, this episode, those questions are answered by proving that bravery doesn't need an audience, and sometimes the quiet victories are the most important ones. Mark Fields notes that Xander's search for what made him cool ended up being a search for what was authentically him, and he tried on other roles, car guy, criminal, sexual partner, and none of them worked. But at the end, he found something he could truly do, namely save the lives of others through courage, which there cements him as the heart of the show. That's how he can create his authentic self. Just throwing that out there. And that wraps up Themes and Metaphor. A few Buffy fun facts I have for this episode. This episode is the third apocalypse the Scoobies face directly after Prophecy Girl and Becoming Part 2. The multi-headed demon is the same one that appeared in the library when the Master's Ascension opened the Hellmouth in Prophecy Girl, as Buffy and Willow recall. When Buffy realizes that the Sisterhood of J celebrates victory in battle by eating their foes, she comments in disgust they couldn't just pour Gatorade on each other, referencing the tradition in athletic competitions to celebrate pouring buckets of beverage over the coach and like on each other and all of this stuff. Xander mentions Michael Jackson's song "Wanna Be Startin' Something" 1982 when Jack coincidentally says the same title. Which is so funny. He's like a Michael Jackson song. And then he's like, I do not listen to him, and also I'm going to beat your face in. All right, let's get into our final slays.
Final slays.
Xander's awesome. What do you guys write down for quotes this episode?
I can't believe I just had sex is my favorite. Just the way he reads it just makes me laugh.
I have a few, but one of them is when Xander says to Courtney, "Why am I surprised by how comforting you're not?" I like when Xander is like, "It's always open for crime," when he's just talking about the hardware store. And this really isn't, it is and it isn't a quote, but for some reason, another part I really laughed at, other than when the guy ran away mid Xander speaking and trying to threaten him, is when that guy, and Brandon, you touched base on it, when he walked up to the library window when everything was going on, and he was like, "Wow."
I like whenever Giles is saying there's something different about this menace, something in the air, the stench of death, and Xander's like, "Yeah, I think it's Bob." Because it goes unnoticed, and that's what Xander's thinking about. It's so funny. And then again, when Xander's like, "What do you mean? What is it?" "It's my thing." Willow being like, "Your thing?" And Xander's like, "Yeah, my thing." And Buffy's like, "Is this a penis metaphor?" And obviously we get the penis looking demons and all this other stuff, and like the show oftentimes goes into penis metaphor with its like snake-like creatures and toxic masculinity, like we got in Reptile Boy and stuff like that. So I thought it was fun for them to identify with that and bring it out onto the show as well. And then my final one is Faith, whenever she's like, "Yeah, that was real manly how you shrieked and all." And Xander follows that up with, "I think you'll find that was more of a bellow." And then she all fucks him 10 minutes later in the show. So those are mine for that. Who did you guys give Shining Slayer to?
Obviously Xander, for me anyway.
I gave it to Xander. You have to give it to Xander, but also shout out to Faith for taking the boys V card by any means necessary, is what I say.
All right, cool. We're all in agreement, so we're giving it to Xander because why not?
Yeah.
If it weren't for him, the school would have been bombed and everyone in it killed anyways. So
Yeah.
I think the Slayers might have had a little hand up on that. They might have survived a bomb going off underneath them, but potentially. But that means Willow and Giles and Angel's probably dust because he's going to catch on fire and explode. So
True.
All right, what was giving you guys the weekly Wiggins?
The Temu Avatar people, Faith and Xander.
I got to give it, for me, it's just Shannon Rowe as O'Toole. That guy's genuinely creepy looking dude. Like I said before, like, you go watch him in Boogie Nights. He's so unsettling in his scene.
Oh, shit.
He has like
Yeah,
one
you
scene
get
and you're
that.
like, it's one of those things where I didn't think he was a real actor. I thought they got some fucking scary looking dude off the street.
You're like, no, they literally like let someone out of the asylum for
it's like
filming this.
that's not an actor. That's just some crazy guy. They said, "Oh, you look like you have like a crazy eye. You look like a crazy eyed nut, so you should be in the scene."
You look
And
like
it's
you
like-
could murder all of us.
He really does,
and
but
then
he
work
makes
in
you
it.
like, you would be afraid of him. If I went to high school with him, he'd be the first one calling me the F word and pushing me up against the locker and making me feel intimidated, probably.
Yeah,
Especially if I was young
his
enough.
mouth is built for hurling unwanted slurs.
He looks
your
like a
way.
pompous guy that like pounds poon all the time.
like,
he
And
whatever
his
slur you
eyes,
want, don't want to hear, he's got for
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, and his eyes go like, you can tell he's good at like the dead eyes. you
Yeah,
know,
he
where
just
there's
literally
like
has
a
like that
soul
psycho
there.
boy, I'm an aggressor vibe to his natural
Yeah.
stature. Yeah.
Yeah, so the fact that he you saw him again, and that's what is that, 97 Boogie Nights? So then then you
Couple
see
years
him in this
later.
afterwards, and then you see him. I was like, wow, he's just really a good actor, as it turns out. That he's able to carve out that
Really
niche
good
for
at
himself.
psycho.
Yeah, so but he does give me the Wiggins every time I see him. So
All right, that Slade moment, to me, I feel like I gave it to all the Scoobies taking on the Hellmouth demon for a second time, with the addition of Buffy and Faith. Because when I say all the Scoobies, I mean Giles, Willow, like they are now having to deal with this demon a second time, because Buffy technically wasn't in the room. She was up on the rooftop fighting the Master while they were down there fucking with that damn demon.
Mhm.
Like, it's after she killed the Master that sucked it back in and all that stuff happens. Like,
Mhm.
whatever. And then obviously the demon came back up out the ground, and probably the second time around was like, what in the hell? Like, all these people standing here waiting to kill me. Like, this is every time I try to come up, this is what's happening. Like, what's that thing been down there? What's it eating? What's it ordering on Postmates? Taco Bell? Like, anyways,
I
what
know,
stood out
right?
as a Slade moment for y'all?
Mine went to the very ending of Xander being a man of no words. I would say a few words, but instead it was of no words. And his simple glare that he did back at Cordelia when she was trash talking him at the end, when that's like the last reaction that we're used to out of Xander. So it just kind of very much encompasses the rapid growth and change in perspective that he got just from experiencing everything he did in this episode. And I just I lived for the moment as much as I was already loving the episode. The fact that they ended it on that note, I was just like, holy shit, they could not have done better, especially because I'm a fan of subtle indirect jabs. I don't, if you can get away with that and you're smart enough for that. And that seemed like that moment where Xander's like, he could have said anything and he could have probably been punny enough to say something hurtful to Cordelia, but the look that he gave her was so specific, and it was just so it made me feel bad for her. And in the whole episode I was just like, what a fucking asshole, and so that was my Slade moment, goes to Xander doing that, because I was like, chef's kiss.
For me, it was the game of chicken he has with O'Toole, like that that he has. To sit there really when, the stakes could not be higher, and he doesn't back down. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I remember I was saving it for this part. I had it in my notes at the end. I was like, bring it up some way. It'll come up in the flow of the episode wherever it needed to land. And I guess it's here because Courtney, you saying that your Slade moment was like that moment with Cordelia. Whenever me and my sister Tiffany went to the watch party that we did with Nicholas Brendan. That was one of his favorite moments, was just like the piece that he had, like leaving Cordelia, and also like how that kind of ended and sealed off the rest of their like relationship drama and whatnot. I remember him talking about that. So I don't remember verbatim. I wish I had a recording to post, but I didn't record that shit. So, but yeah. There is no Slayer at predictions because, as y'all have already heard across our recording, Courtney's already seen Bad Girls and Consequences. So, you know, we'll circle back to that in future predictions whenever we get there. I feel like there's not really a prediction that I could ask of you in the moment right now. So you get by on this one this time around. Either way, that wraps up our chat on the Zeppo. Thanks for listening. And as always, we want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about the Hellmouth reopening and being revisited along with Faith's being a part of it? Were you into Xander's solo adventure and all the ridiculous chaos that came with it? What do you guys think about him hooking up with Faith? And do you enjoy the take on how sometimes the one who seems unnecessary ends up being the one who saves the day? Let us know. Other than that, Frank, thanks again for coming back to hang out and talk about Buffy with us.
Always fun. Well, my favorite place to talk about Buffy. Well, the only place I talk about Buffy.
Well, I'm glad you still get to be a part of this. We'll definitely obviously keep the tradition going and bring you back for the next time we hit another Xander-centric episode. But before we go, what are you up to right now, and where can people follow along with your latest shenanigans?
Right now, I'm working on something. Well, you can always find me on Nightmare Collective, my horror podcast, my horror original horror stories. Watch out for that space around Halloween because I have something special. Ooh. There's a new original series I'm working on that is kind of taking up my time because I have my podcast channel I had to put on the back burner because I only have so much time in the day. It's just like, and I'm sorry to all 5 listeners of that. So I'm so sorry, guys. But I really, there's been like a project I've wanted to do is like an audio drama series for a long time. And it's just like, you know what? Now's the time to pull the trigger on it. And that's what I'm hopefully will have. Hopefully I'd like to have have that up and running sooner rather than later. Cause I'd like to get a booth to sell it at, Hellmouth Con this coming, I don't know what date. Anyway, Hellmouth Con in Torrance, California. The best Buffy convention there is, brought to you by Fandom Charities. I went there 2 years ago to promote something, and I didn't get to go last year, but I'm going to be going this year. Hopefully I could do at least a panel there and do a live show there. You guys, of course, are invited too. We were talking about that, possibly you guys coming. Like, I won't hold you to that, but please, it'd be fucking awesome. But that would be a fun thing to do, and hopefully we'll see you all there too.
Nice. And as a message for everyone listening, if you're not already following Revamped on your podcast platform, please let the cat food feeder finish going off. Please hit that follow button or subscribe button. It really helps us and the show grow. It makes it easier for other Buffy fans to find us and join in on the conversation. We appreciate you guys more than you know and all the support you give us. Other than that, we'll catch you all next week where we cover Bad Girls with returning guest Tyler Austin to discuss it. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Right. Buffy needs your help. Can you say expendable?
You think you know everything?
I think I knew you.
That's a laugh.
Oh, what? You got a shiny car and now you're someone new? Like anybody even cares about. Is that your car?
Why, yes, it is.
57 Chevy Bel Air, 283 CID, solid lifter, fuel-injected V8.
Very possibly.
How does she handle?
Like a dream about warm, sticky things. Would you like to go for a little drive?
You busy?
I'm just gonna drop this stuff off, and then I would describe myself as expendable.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale. We also would like to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatch podcast.
Or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com. Additionally, we will be choosing one of your messages to shout out in an upcoming episode release. And if you happen to love abandoned places but prefer them vampire-free, check out Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast. where I interview urban explorers about the eerie spaces they uncover, anything from haunted schools, forgotten mansions, and tunnels that probably don't lead to the Hellmouth. From history to mysteries, tips and tricks of the trade, I dive into all things urbex. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, the Earth is definitely doomed. This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.